everything that happens to a tzaddik, it will the absolute agreement of that tzaddik. So if if it happened to be that the Alter Rebbe didn't decide to go to jail and to sit in jail for 53 days, if he didn't want it, and we see this in many details of the story. In many places, how the Alter Rebbe decided that this is the way it's going. First of all, there's the part of the story. First of all, there's the part of the story right at the beginning when they came to arrest him, and he ran out the back door. And he came later and asked him, Shmuel Lucas, should I let them arrest me? And Shmuel Lucas said, you want to. What do you mean? If you're a Rebbe, nothing's going to happen. It's all good. Let them arrest you. And if you're not a Rebbe, how could you take out of thousands? So they're already pointing out why we see out there decided, all right, I'll let them arrest you. But then there's all the stories that happen later. The mice with the black wagon on Shabbos. That they were traveling, now they were asked to stop on Shabbos, the axle was a real race. When they managed to fix that, the horse guy, they managed to get a new horse, to carry the ship, doesn't go. That's all. The Alter Rebbe decided doesn't want to go, and doesn't go. They have to spend Shabbos on the side of the road under a tree. What's the point? The point is that if the Alter Rebbe decides, I don't want to go, then I'm not going. Same thing by the boat, the one. So the fact that the Alter Rebbe was arrested, the fact that the Alter Rebbe had to sit in jail for 53 days, the fact that he didn't do what Farbrengen just said that he'd do, and say, hey, we should just open up the walls and let me out of here, means that the Alter Rebbe felt that it was necessary for him to sit in jail. Why is that? Why is it? What did the Alter Rebbe want to achieve? That if Lady Yitzchak, the teacher, didn't have in mind that he would want to achieve. And I think that that is the finish that the Alter Rebbe was bringing with Siddur Chabad. That is what the Alter Rebbe wanted to achieve by the Alter Rebbe's Siddur, because it's the way it was by all the other Siddur of the Richer Magi. All the other Judaism, Hebraic tradition. And that's what Yutzes Kisa was there to achieve, Siddur Chabad. And what is that? It's very nice to say that I can be inspired with Torah, with Avodah, with Siddur. It's very nice to say that when I'm in shul davening, I'm flying high. When I'm in the base medrash learning, I'm inspired and passionate by learning. But the question is, if I, as a person, change, if I become a person in my entire life, in every detail of my life, if sinners inspire me to change, if sinners inspire me that the way I put my shoes and socks on is different, that's the difference. Alter Rebbe came to say, no, we're not trying to break through the wall and say, Eibishter, open up the prison wall. What did the Alter Rebbe want? The Alter Rebbe wanted that the Goyim should come to the realization that the Russians, they should realize the importance of sinners, that they should vindicate sinners, that the Goyim, that the world should say, we need sinners. Alter Rebbe, we're going to let you out. We're going to let you keep spreading sinners, and we're going to tell you to spread sinners more. It's not that we're trying to remove ourselves from the world and get inspired. We're trying to tell our physical selves. We're telling the world that the world should demand sinners. And like the Rebbe says, in a Maimon Chod V'Sholem, the Rebbe said that that's the thing should take Mashiach, that the world itself is going to demand miracles. The world itself is going to say, hey, Tochem, we're stuck in our limited self. Hey, Tochem, where the cool, we don't express miracles, we don't express godliness. I'm not looking for a world where there's shining darkness in it. The world doesn't feel it. The world has to be ready for Mashiach. The world has to say, I want Mashiach, I want miracles, I want God. And the Alter Rebbe was saying, I'm going to sit in jail for 53 days. Why? Because I want the world, I want the goyim, that they should say, I agree that there should be citizens in the world. And what does that mean in my life? What does that mean in my life, God Moshe? It means that it's not enough. Number one, the basic citizens of use the skills of all these limud citizens, learning citizens by Iyun, by Shufi. Here, Iyun, here's the law. Limud citizens. That's not enough. It's not only that I'm sitting during say I'm sitting and I'm learning. The point is, did Hasidus change me? Like the part, well-known part. You learned Hasidus. But what did Hasidus teach you? How did Hasidus change you? Did every part of my life, did every fiber of my being become more of a Chassidish kid through my learning Chassidus? And what the Alter Rebbe was trying to achieve was not just that I should have a sheer Chassidus, but that I should feel the Chassidus in every aspect of my life. Like that that a chassid is recognizable in every single aspect of his life. In every detail of his life, you can see a chassid. A chassid is not recognizable only when he's sitting and learning Chassidus, when he's davening. That's the chassid. He spends hours on Shabbos going to Hashem. A chassid, you can see on Shabbos, he sits in the corner for hours and then he davening. And unfortunately, on Islam, we don't have so many such tzirah nowadays. We used to have. Should have more tzirah. That's not the only tzirah of a chassid. What is the tzirah of a chassid? Don't ask the chassid. Don't gain the chassid. Don't shlop the chassid. How do you know a chassid? A chassid is in every fiber of his being. He eats like a chassid. He walks like a chassid. He sleeps like a chassid. You see him in every stage of his life, and he's permeated. He expressed the fact that he's a chassid. When he eats, that's a real chassid. That's what the Alter Rebbe came to strive to achieve. Good Keslo. That when I learn Chassidus properly, and I understand Chassidus, it should change who I am. I should feel different. I should act different. It's not just that I learn Chassidus before davening and get inspired and daven. The Alter Rebbe said the idea of teaching you Chassidus, teaching me Chassidus the way I understand, is that it should change me, that I should be having Chassidus when I'm eating, and when I'm sleeping, and when I'm walking, I should feel like a chassid. So the Alter Rebbe said, it's not good enough that I'm going to open up those walls and walk out of jail. I need that the world should realize that every fiber of being should realize necessity to demand Chassidus. And Rebbe said that's happening now with the going of the world. The world is demanding, it's asking for it. The world has changed, Rebbe said. Rebbe in the men was going so much about Sheva Mitzvahs. What was Rebbe saying? Rebbe saying that the world is ready for Mashiach. The world is demanding change. The world is demanding us to come and teach you, come and teach you Torah, come and teach you coolness and kindness and Sheva Mitzvahs. Every fiber of our being has to be involved in this. every part of ourselves has to be that dark citizens. Obviously, it's not. It's not that citizens. Learning it and learning it properly. I'll live it in our shape, taking ourselves properly. Okay. We should become citizens. We should become citizens every fiber of our being that tells us that we see ourselves that by learning citizens and understanding skills, which should tell me, like whatever I shot wrote before, the garage holy wrong. Very interesting thing to write. It's talking about this Kesslo. And Rebbe Hashem writes, what's the aim of it? That I should remove any bad character traits, like the Muslims say. Muslims focuses on getting rid of cars, gays, all our negative character traits. And here the Rebbe writes, what's it says Kesslo? Getting rid of my bad character traits, becoming a better person. But that's exactly it. Sinners can't touch every fiber of my being, but I should become a better person. I should change who I am. Make the right hypothesis, right? Focus tonight. We should change the way we learn citizens, the way we act citizens. Start learning, obviously. You learn citizens, the way it should be properly. Act citizens to change who you are. We change the entire world. We would color, Osimar,
Now go back home. Go back home. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like, don't take everybody's camera.
So, Chaim. I'm not sure exactly where the Farbrengen is holding at the moment, but not having been able to be here till now, one doesn't want to repeat in Yonim which have already been spoken about, but nevertheless, that is something which can be repeated any number of times. And however many times you say it is not sufficient. This is the Farbrengen. Historically, this Farbrengen in Yeshiva Gedolah, the first night, is because where I've understood the way this has been was that the Achim Gutnik, the brothers of Chaim Gutnik Olu HaSholom, of Sholom Gutnik Olu HaSholom, that they had Yortzeit after their father, Rav Mordechai Zev Gutnik. He passed away on Yutes Kislev about 85 or so years ago in London. And therefore, we have Yortzeit this night on Yutes Kislev, the night of Yutes Kislev, and because of that, the Farbrengen, the first night used to be in their house, Reb Chaim Gutnik's house in Elwood, and after that, for some reason, moved into Yeshiva Gedolah. This is the start of this Farbrengen. Since then, traditionally, the first night, this has been the Farbrengen. We Farbrengen here in Yeshiva Gedolah. And on the second night, the main Farbrengen by Chassidim, it's the night of Yutes Lechof, which is the time when the Alter Rebbe went out, the Chaychus, to his freedom. It was that as early Yom Chav, therefore the main Farbrengen by Rabbi Steiner and Shienum by Chassidim, the main Farbrengen was on the second night of Yutes Lechof. The first Farbrengen here. At any rate, as we said, we are talking over here about Limud Achsidus and Dark Achsidus. We are celebrating something over here. And if one is celebrating something, it has to have some meaning. And it has, of course, as much meaning as the person gives to it. Limud Achsidus and Dark Achsidus is something which is not going to come in an hour or two. Nevertheless, one of the dark Achsidus, one of the ways of Chassidim, is the inyan of a Farbrengen. This in itself is Gufa Farbrengen at a time, at any time, but especially on a Yom Pagra, on a Yom Tov, like Yutes Kislev. The Farbrengen is an inyan Godel, a great inyan in Dark Achsidus Gufa. What is the idea of a Farbrengen? I saw a Sikha today from the Frierdiker Rebbe where he writes concerning a person who has 1,000,000 bricks. A person is rich, an Oshir Godel, he's extremely rich, and he has 1,000,000 bricks. Bricks are what you use for building houses. If you have 1,000,000 bricks, you can build a large number of houses. Therefore, this person has 1,000,000 bricks, is very rich, very well endowed over here. The problem is that when you build a house from bricks, and you just put the bricks one on top of another, which you can do, and make walls and have a whole house erected just with the bricks. Nevertheless, that house is a danger, a sakona, for anyone who walks not only in the house, but even he walks around the house, the outside is also a danger. Why is it a danger? It's obviously because the walls can collapse. So the walls are very good walls, really excellent. There's nothing wrong with the bricks at all. But nevertheless, no one in his right mind is going to go anywhere near such a house because the whole thing can collapse. And if a brick from the 6th story of that house will collapse and fall on this unfortunate fellow's head, then he will find himself in a rather difficult situation as a result of that. I'm just repeating what it says in the Sikha, repeating almost word for word what it says in the Sikha. If the brick will fall from the 6th floor onto the person's head, then he will be probably something like decapitated. So therefore, he doesn't want to go near such a house. But what is lacking over here is lacking the lachluchis, is lacking that moisture. You need cement to hold the bricks together. You want to make a wall, so you need to hold the bricks together. Then the wall is healthy, then the house is a house. And then, as a result of that, no one will be afraid to go near the house. On the contrary, it would be Tiferes Odom Moshe's voice. It will be a very good thing to have a house. Similarly, he says in Ruchnius is the same thing. The Yid can learn plenty of Torah. He may be rich. He has millions of words of Torah, etc. And not only Torah Sanigla, Torah Sachsidus, and Mitzvahs, and Maisim Tevim, all good things. These are all bricks with which you can erect a building. But nevertheless, we need more than that. If the house is not to be a sakona, then there needs to be something holding the bricks together. Otherwise, it's not a house. The same with regard to Yonim Ruchnim, the riches, Avonim, Isis of Torah, the Sefer Yetzirah says, Shnei Avonim Beina Shnei Batim, the Sefer Yetzirah is brought to by Marach Sida. Sefer Yetzirah compares Isis of Torah, letters of Torah, words of Torah to Avonim, to stones, to bricks. There needs to have something to hold it all together. There needs to be a lachluchis. There needs to be something which is moist. You smear it onto the bricks, and then it dries out. It has to be misyavish after having the lachluchis. It has to be misyavish, it has to dry out. And then you have a house. Same thing in Ruchnius. You can have Isis of Torah, letters of Torah, Torah Sanigla, Torah Sachsidus, Torah Shebiksav, Torah Shebal Peh. Everything is fine and good. And nevertheless, it could be a sakona because it's lacking the thing which holds it all together. And that thing, he says there, what is that lachluchis? What is that moisture which holds the bricks together? That is a chsidische Farbrengen. A chsidische Farbrengen is the lachluchis. This holds it all together. Meila, this is the Indian, I say, Farbrengen is just, I'm coming now from a place where there was a lot of Torah. A great deal was spoken about Torah. And I don't say anything, because I'll say something now, so to speak, and I'll regret it later, what I say now. So I don't want to say it in the first place. I don't chas v'sholom, chas v'sholom in any sense to be maktin, to play down, or to try in any way to try and be clever, try to come with an bekeres, come ba'apom ho ish, and come and say machal akshem and the nose, this sort of thing. It's not necessary. The bricks are bricks. Basis beinus batim. The bricks are bricks. There's nothing wrong with the bricks at all. The bricks are beautiful. The bricks are wonderful. Nevertheless, a house needs a little more than just the bricks. That's all. So it could be that what now it's everything is bashgocha protis. I don't know why they made it bashgocha protis. That the Daf Yomi had to finish after 7.5 years of learning. It had to find its celebration. That we put on the night of Yutis Kislev or Yud Ches early Yud. I'm not all the decisions which people make. It's the summit of God. But the Indian is, I feel now I'm coming from at least from one level. Now we're coming to it's easier. It's easier to come and go step after step. That after coming from that hearing a lot about Torah, learning Torah, oasis of Torah, words of Torah, limud of Torah, smotin Torah, etc., all absolutely 100% correct, and not. Who could argue? Who would want to argue with such a thing? Adarabba, quite the reverse. And nevertheless, having said all of that, the Rebbe finished Shas when he was 18 years old, I think it was. The Alter Rebbe finished Shas, Paskin, Meshoidim, and Achreidim, when the Alter Rebbe learned, not just stam learning, durchlearn, and just learning. That was learned. We learned and know where the Shas, all the Meshoidim, and Achreidim. And then, in the world, the Alter Rebbe went to Mezrich and Magid, a new Eilom Chodesh, a new Inyan. And all the Inyanim connected with Yutis Kislev are all because there's something that we are saying, there's such a thing as Primus Atera. It is a different, an Olam Chodesh, a different Inyan, Bechlach, a different Inyan. So the Eibishter should help, we should Farbrengen. The Farbrengen should not be stump words and saying, repeating stam words, Rebbe is to send a telegash, Yitzvadias, Yitzvadias, Farbrengen, which achieve something. Farbrengen to achieve something, one has to go away from Farbrengen with Eppes, Fin, it's going to be a initial pale mamish. Something going to be better. So we're talking about Limud Chassidus, Darkei Chassidus, which can be in many different Eifanim, many different details. But at any rate, the Inyan is, you have to start with something. Start with the Inyan of Farbrengen, and hopefully Farbrengen, we're not in a hurry now. Come a bit late, unfortunately, but we're not in a hurry to finish now, please. Sure, but, the problem, I don't be sure the million if the Chazal starts late. I always say that. They always manage to finish on time. No, I never finished late. Starting late, I heard about starting late. No, I didn't hear about finishing late. So, mate, we're in no hurry. Hinani Lahachriz, I remain hereby announcing that we are in no hurry at all. I ask people to meichel if this is somehow affected till now. I'll call Podim Mikan or Lahabo from now. Now Hashem Yutis Kislev, or Hashem V'chayes Nafsheinu Nitzin Lanu. Is this a different Eilom, etc.? And now we have to start thinking about what is this Inyan? What's it all about? What is going to hold the bricks together? And Memela make a binyan, a sort of building a place in which we can in which we feel at home, safe living. And this is the sort of house in which one would like to live, this sort of house where the walls could not collapse like a pack of cards, but they're held together as a Eifan Chazor. This a person knows that is Yod Inish Benavshe, that it's not so simple. But then you have to start. Everything starts somewhere. And today is a good time. If it's such a young schooler, and the schus of the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe's Mesiras Nefesh, which he had, and the Rebbe emphasizes the Alter Rebbe's Mesiras Nefesh was for Chassidim. That was the Alter Rebbe's Mesiras Nefesh, not for himself. His Mesiras Nefesh was for Chassidim. For who are which Chassidim? Chassidim means us. That's all. The Alter Rebbe was Mesiras Nefesh for anyone who wants to get to climb on the wagon. The Alter Rebbe was Mesiras Nefesh for him. He's taking it. He's ready to take it. The Chaim, the Eibush Shatal, Shvi Ashana, Teva, the Limud Achsid, Holy Soul, Chaim. Hi. Everyone knows that the Yontif of Yutes Kislev is because of Hamaiser HaGeula. There was an imprisonment. The Alter Rebbe was put in prison. And the Alter Rebbe was released from prison. This is on Yutes Kislev. But on Yutes Kislev, the Alter Rebbe was released. And this is the Yontif of Yutes Kislev, what happened in Olam Hazeh HaGashmi, that is the cause for the Yontif. So what is the reason? Every Indian has to be understood. The Eibishter caused certain things to happen. Why did these things happen? This is explained in countless sichas of Rabbi Seinu Nesienu, and especially in a sicha the Rebbe explains in Tovshi and Tez Zayin, Yutes Kislev, Tovshi and Tez Zayin. There the Rebbe explains that there was needed to be Nisgala, an Chodosh, a new a new light needed to be revealed in Olam Hazeh, in this world. And that was the of Chassidus, the of Teres Chassidus. And we find that every new Inyan, if an Inyan which is Yaakov, which is precious and Chodosh and new, is going to be revealed in this world, then there are going to be difficulties. There will be nisyonos and hisnagdus, there will be opposition and difficulties before that thing can be revealed, because it is an inyan chodosh legame, it's a new thing. And he brings the example for this, the simple example, which we know for this is by Matan Torah the first time. Matan Torah on Har Sinai. This was a new gili in Olam Hazeh Gashmi Vayered Havaya al Har Sinai Vaydaber Elikim es kol advorim ha'ele lema v'mecher Hashem Elokecha asher hitzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. This which was revealed by Matan Torah and Har Sinai, of course, is a new inyan legamri. Because there is going to be such a great gilui, there needed to be the inyan of the nisyonos prior to that. There needed to be the avodah in Mitzrayim, the inu eisom, etc., the afflictions, the nisyonos of being in Mitzrayim. This is because of the Chodosh, which is Nizgale by Matan Torah. And only through and after the inyan of Golus Mitzrayim could be the inyan of Matan Torah and Har Sinai. Al derech zeh, we find similarly, with regard to this inyan of Yutes Kislev, that here was Nizgale also an Chodosh, an inyan Chodosh, Yofutzu Mainasecha Chutza, the inyan of the Mayonas of Pnimius HaTorah, of the Torah Sabal Shem Tov, coming and being Nizgale in Olam Hazeh Gashmi, in an Eifen of Havona v'Hasoga, in a way that people should be able to understand it, in a way that it should have an effect even on the seichel of the nefesh habahamis, which that is the kavon of the Yefutzu Mainasecha Chutza. This is an inyan chodosh. In order that this new inyan should be revealed, should be able to take place, there had to be an inyan which was menaged, something that had to be difficulties and obstacles standing in the way to prevent this happening. And this was the reason behind, the reason al piruchnius, so in Yonim, the reason for the mass, for the arrest of the Alter Rebbe, why he had to go through such in Yonim. And then afterwards, from that came the Geula, and then was the inyan of Yefutzu Mainasecha Chutza in Eifam Bechol Tokfei, after the inyan of, after Peterburg, after the inyan of the Geula of Yutes Kislev. There's a very interesting thing that the Rebbe says there, mamash 3-4, half a line. In the middle of that sikha, the Rebbe interrupted himself. In the middle of that sikha, was speaking about this inyan, and the Rebbe said, as a maima hamuska, in brackets, so to speak, the schwer ot keinmal nicht gewollt meirich sein b'inyonim elu. My father-in-law, means the Friedrich Rebbe, my father-in-law never wanted to be meirich about, never wanted to speak at length about these inyonim. As he says in the middle, no explanation of what he said, what he means, or what he's saying exactly over here, but he makes this statement. The schwer of keinmal nicht gewollt meirich sein b'inyonim elu. He never wanted to be meirich. He never wanted to speak at length about this. It's not clear, to me at least, it's not clear what exactly he's referring to. Whether he's referring to the inyan of the lamata, or whether he's referring to the inyan the way it is lamayla. Is he referring? It is difficult to Farbrengen when people are talking over there. I really feel very bad stopping people from talking. Well, I don't have any right to stop people from talking. Mela Talmidim of Yeshiva Gedola forbid discipline on them is, we have no choice. The Mosin has to work in that way. But it's a free country, and everyone can come, go where they want and do what they want, etc. This is the way. Kochsachim, Cheres, in freedom. Everything is freedom. It's a Chag Geula from all Hakbalas, etc. I feel bad telling people, don't talk, because I'm talking, or you don't talk. Mate, who said me, Yema? Whose talking is more important? Could be your talking is more important than my talking. Could well be. I'm not in a position to judge Klal, but all I can say is, it's very difficult for me to talk when you're talking. That's all. It's just, I personally find it difficult. Therefore, I will ask you to please do me a favor, that if you wish to hold a conversation, if you could do so b'makom acher, if you could do so elsewhere, I would be very grateful for that. That's all. That's all I can say. More than that, I can't say. But that's the rest I leave up to you. Nachsel in your name, that the Rebbe said, in the name of this, his father-in-law, he never wanted to be Meirich and Isaac. He didn't want to be Meirich. He didn't want to speak at length. What does this mean, didn't want to speak at length? Does it mean he didn't want to speak at length about the what happened? It's unpleasant. It really is pretty unpleasant. The idea, the Menagli, Snagdus, the opposition to the Alter Rebbe, and the arranging the Masira against the Alter Rebbe, slandering the Alter Rebbe to the government, and arranging he should be arrested. The whole thing, and then it's all right. It's just unpleasant. Yidden against Yidden. This whole sort of thing is fighting, squabbling about. Is that what he means? If he means that, then I'm a bit. I have a kasha, but I don't understand. At the beginning of Likutei Diburim, right at the beginning of Likutei Diburim, the Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, brings down there about Nochem, the grandson of the Alter Rebbe, of Nochem, that he used to Farbrengen every Yutes Kislev, and he used to speak Ba'arichas. He emphasizes there in the Sikha that he used to speak Ba'arichas at great length in all the pratim, in all the details concerning the Maisa, concerning the whole thing with the imprisonment, the arrest, etc., all the things in all of its details. And he emphasizes that in the Sikh. He spoke about it at length. Ad Kadei Kach, he used to speak about it at length. And if someone came in the middle and hadn't heard the beginning, he went right back to the beginning again and started all over again. It must have been a pretty, to have to sit there through that. Must have been a few times as people came in the middle, he kept on repeating. This is a big thing. The Inyan of repeating the Inyanim of Yutes Kislev, but has always been this Inyan speaking about the things. Maisim Shahoyu. No, basically, if the Rebbe says that Friedrich Rebbe didn't want to be Marich and these Inyan, I don't know what it means exactly. There's unpleasant things there. In that place there, Likutei Diburim, he brings down one prat. I haven't seen it brought anywhere else. He brings down a prat that in Vilna and other places, similar places, when they heard that the Alter Rebbe had been arrested and taken off in a black carriage, which the black carriage was for those who are rebels against the government and were going to get a pretty bad sentence as a result of that. When they heard the Alter Rebbe had been arrested, they announced they should say Hallel in Shul. They would say Hallel. Hallel. It doesn't say that with a bracha, without a bracha. And yet in Zeicha to that machlokas, so that's but the Hallel said they were going to say Hallel in Shul. It wasn't carried out in the pale because this was the let's say the extremists were more. There was a rather more restrained. There were some more restrained people on the other side also. When they're going to say Hallel. But it's an indication of the snagdus that we're talking about. I mean, you read in the Sikhs of the Rabbeim, they don't say much about it. But there's Nochem, the grandson of the Alter Rebbe, said all these details, all the details. But maybe it means that the Friedrich Rebbe himself never spoke much. He himself never spoke much about the details of things because, as I said, it's unpleasant. It's not the main inyan anyway. Or maybe he means the Inyanim L'mayla. He's given explanation in the context of what he's talking about in the Sikha over there. He seems to be talking about the Inyanim L'mayla, the Sheresh Hatzborim L'mayla, the Kitrug L'mayla, which there was against the Inyan of Hafotzas Achsidus, the Inyan of Limud Achsidus in the way of Yafutza Mainasech Achutza, which that was the Tam Ruchni, that was the Sheresh Ruchni, the source for all that happened afterwards, Lamata, down below in the Eilam Hazeh Hagashmi. Maybe it means he didn't want to speak too much about that even. Why not? I don't know. I mean, what does it mean? Why shouldn't he want to speak about the Inyanim L'mayla, the way they are divorced from unpleasant people? I can't see what's wrong with speaking about the Sheresh Hatzborim Yeruchlis. But I'll call upon him That is what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe makes this statement as a Maimah Muska that the Shver ot Kemel nicht gewollt meirich sein b'inyonim elu. He didn't want to talk too long about these inyonim, which means two things. Number one, he mentioned it he mentioned the inyan every time. He wasn't meirich in the inyan. Well, if you don't want to talk about it, don't mention it. And if you do want to talk about it, so go and so speak, do the thing justice, speak about it fully. Is Pshat, the Pshat is, you must know in every Inyan what is the Ikar and what is the Tafel. All the Inyanim, so to speak, the Inyanim of a Helam and a Hester and Clippers, Hisnagus, whatever there may be, in whatever form it may take, whether they take a ruchniistic form or a poshetum or grobe gashmiistic form, whatever often this may be, there have been nisyonos when a kim nisas Avraham, asor nisyonos, nisas Avraham Avinu had nisyonos, and since then every Yid has had nisyonos, every tzaddik has had nisyonos. There's never been such a thing without nisyonos. And he said, it has to be. It cannot be that a new Inyan should be revealed in this world without nisyonos. There have to be difficulties. There has to be something, a menaged. There has to be something to be overcome. Having said that there has to be something to be overcome, this is not the main thing. The main thing is the overcoming. That is the main thing. The main thing is not the Nisayon itself. As I said by Avraham Avinu, going to the Akedah, that the Satan made himself in the form of a river, and to stop Avraham Avinu going with Yitzchak to the Akedah, to come to Har HaMoriyah. And Avraham Avinu went in the water up to his neck, up to wherever, and then he just went ahead. It wasn't a spoil, and then the whole thing disappeared. Because a Nisayon ain't be mamash. The whole Indian of a Nisayon is not a mamoshistic thing, an actual thing. The whole thing is an Indian hamaduma. It looks, it seems, it has to be that Seder Milmaila, the Eibishter made it. There has to be, everything has to be through Al Yidei Nisayon. The Yisron Ha'er will come Dafka Min HaChishach, will come the Indian of the Yisron Ha'er. Having said that, the Yisron Ha'er is Min HaChishach Davka, through an Indian of Chishach, overcoming the Chishach in one form or another. At the end of the day, the Chishach is not the Ikar. The Ikar is the Yisron Ha'er, which comes from the Chishach. In Yonim Shlilim, negative things, even if they're negative things on the highest madregas, Kitchugim Milamaylo, which come from the Bezdin Shel Mailo, whatever madregas you can think about, things which are totally beyond our understanding. Even at the end of the day, the Inyan is a Nisayon at the end of the day. And the Kavona Shebazeh is that a person should be Manasa Hashem Elekechem Eschem Lodas, as the Pasuk says, and as the Alter Rebbe is Masbin Lekutei Torah. This is the Pshat. Ki Manasa Hava Elekechem Eschem Lodas, not the Pshat like the Welt thinks the Pshat is, that the Eibishter is testing you Lodas, to know Hayishchem Oavim Es Hashem Im Loi, whether you have a house, whether you're going to stand firm in the Nisayon or not, because the Eibishter knows perfectly well, because the Eibish is not limited in Zman, and therefore the Eibishter knows perfectly well what your choice is going to be. But this is not the point. The point is over here, why does the Eibishter give the Nisayon Lodas? To lift the person up to a madriga nalis beyosen is iskashros das miloshan iskashros. The person becomes more niskashan, niskatzem, more united with the Eibishter through this, with the one who gives the Nisayon. That is the purpose of the Nisayon. Lodas, the person up to a higher madriga. In Mela, there cannot be that the Nisayon itself, the Kochenzach to this, and this should become the Ikar, but has to say that. Go ahead. This is the way it was, because the Yisron Ha'er is Min HaChishach Davka. There was a Yutes Kislev, is not just the Gula of the Alter Rebbe, but there were invariably, when you talk about Yutiskislev, you mention the Maitzer, the Inyan of the imprisonment of the Alter Rebbe also. Reb Nochem there, the grandson, the Alter Rebbe used to say the whole thing over right from the very beginning of the story, right from the very beginning of the Inyan of the Alter Rebbe. But starting with all the pratim, yeah, has to be mentioned. But as the Rebbe said, the Schwert came on the Schwert, Meirich sein, Binyanim Elo. The Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, did not want to be Meirich, to speak at length about these Inyanim, the Inyanim which led up to the Geula. This is the Inyan of the and the Chayas, and that which had to precede it, in order that should be able to be that Inyan of the Chayas Nafshenu Nitan Lon, in order to be able to be Zeicha, to receive that, it had to be through such an Inyan. Al derech, like by Matan Torah Kipshuta, there had to be the Inyan of Golus Mitzrayim, there had to be the Inyan of Avodah Kosher, etc. But to say that that is the Ikka, to Kochenzach, that this should be the Ikka, Ikrim, to get it caught up and think of how terrible it was in Mitzrayim, the persecution in Mitzrayim, and the Shibud in Mitzrayim, and the Avodah Kosher in Mitzrayim. It's not, you don't find that anywhere in Torah. This is the Ikka. It's always mentioned invariably in the Inyan of Yitzias Mitzrayim, but Golus Mitzrayim, Shibud Mitzrayim is a Heichat Timtza. The Lashon of the Lomdim is a Heichat Timtza. One Inyan is a Heichat Timtza for the other Inyan. One Inyan is not an Inyan Bifnei Atzmei, an Inyan which is Chashivas Bifnei Atzmei. The whole thing is just a Heichat Timtza, an Inyan of a framework in which the Ikka Inyan can take place. The Ikka Inyan is Geula from Mitzrayim. The Ikka Inyan is Matan Torah on Har Sinai. The Ikka Inyan by Yutes Kislev is the Geula of the Alter Rebbe. The Ikka Inyan is V'chayes Nafshenu Nitan Lon. The Ikka Inyan is Yafutzu Meinasecha Chutza. These are the Inyanim of and Chayes. These are the Inyanim of Ikrim. Nevertheless, you have to explain that we're talking over here about an Chodosh. And we're talking over here that a Simcha Gedola, because it's an Chodosh. And we're talking over here where there's a Yisran or extra light, because it is coming Mina Choshech, and there was that Inyan of Choshech, was not lacking the Inyan of the darkness and the Isnagdus, etc. One Eifan or another, Lamata and Lamaila was not missing over here. But the Ikad Havgosha always has to be and is clearly, if anyone who looks at both within Torah Kipshuta, with the Gabi Torah and Matan Torah Kipshuta, all the Gabi the Inyan of Pnimius Torah, and Bechlal in all Inyan of Torah, the Ikka Inyan is the Inyan Chiyuvi. The Ikka Inyan is the positive. Navos, the Inyan of the negative, is in order to increase the Koyach and the Chidush Shebedova and the Hakara, the recognition, and hence the Ibegegebenkeit that has to be devoted to this Inyan, because we realize what the Eibush has done, but why this is Chayes Nafshenu Nitzen Lonu. This is something which is given to who? Lonu, to us. Well, who is Lonu? To someone else, to the Rabbeim or someone else, someone sitting in a room somewhere else. For him is Yutes Kislev. If it's not for me, then I don't need a Yutes Kislev to tell me someone else. If someone else is I don't need to celebrate. I will celebrate what he feels is he's gained something. You pick up a person a matana, he's very, very happy. Person gets a matana. If they give a person, anyone something, a matana chashuva, it'd be very, very happy. Now, any person would be very happy. Why is he happy? Because everyone likes a matana. Even though I said Seina matana is yichya, no one likes a matana, but now at the end of the day, everyone likes a matana also. It's a good. It's this is a matana. Where do we go? The Gemara says you wouldn't get a matana unless you did something to earn it. What was done to earn it over here? Thus the Mesiras Nefesh which the Alter Rebbe had. The Alter Rebbe was Ovid Neichel and Nafshe. The Alter Rebbe did that. The Alter Rebbe had Mesiras Nefesh, and the kavana of that is the B'chayes Nafshenu Nitzen Lonu. As a result of that, a person feels he's got and Chayes. And as the Rebbe explains the various inyanim of and Chayes, the difference between them, but Pashtus, we're talking about inyanim which, and again, in Torah mitzvahs, this means Chayes means a Yid is lebedik, and a Yid has a koch in whatever he does in Yonim Tovim, all the good things that he does, which he can sometimes do things in a way without beloy lev the lev, without much enthusiasm, is the inyan of Chayes Nafshenu Nitzen Lonu. This is an inyan which brings a Chayes in Yonim of the Yonim L'chol HaPochas, in Inyanim of the Nefesh Elokis, in Torah mitzvahs, the Limud HaTorah is in a more lebedik oifen, and in your Kiyum HaMitzvahs, a more lebedik, and a lichtig and a lebedik oifen, more where a person feels that he has nisoira nis'ala, and this is the inyan, the ikan, and the kuda of Yutes Kislev, is this inyan of B'chayes Nafshenu Nitzen Lonu, and this is, we are told by Rabbi Seinu, the Sienu, that this is the inyan of Teres Achsidus, and the Mela has to be Limud Achsidus through Dark Achsidus. Through them, through learning Chsidus, and through going in Dark Achsidus, Kamo V'Kama Inyanim included in that, and through them one takes B'chayes. Who wouldn't want that inyan of B'chayes? The Chaim, the Eibishter should help, that at least we should have enough rafin, which is Kislev should feel that we want to take. There is an Chayes, something's being given. But Yom Zeh, something is being given. Something very special is being given. The Eibishter should help. We should take it, Taka. And as a result of that, Chayes Nafshenu, as a result of that, a Yid becomes, has a lichtiger level, more life, with light in his life, and then a Chayes, more lebedik, and this is something which is totally good for him and good for all of those around him. L'chaim. Alter Rebbe wrote a letter after Yutes Kislev, saying, referring to the day of Yutes Kislev, as the Yom Hilula Rabba Shel Rabbeinu Agadol Nishmose Ein. Yutes Kislev is the day of the Histalkus of Rabbeinu Agadol of the Mezritcha Magid. So the fact that this is printed in our Yom Yom at the beginning, the fact that the Alter Rebbe mentions that this is the Yutes Kislev is the Yom Histalkus, Yom Hilula Rabba of Rabbeinu Agadol of the Mezritcha Magid, means that the Alter Rebbe is connecting those two inyanim one with the other. That the reason for the Geula of Yutes Kislev is connected with the fact that this is the day of the Hilula of the Yortzeit of the Mitler of the Mezritcha Magid. The Rebbe explains with regard to this, what is the connection between Shnei Inyanim Eilut in these two Inyanim? What's with the Geula of Yutes Kislev got to do with the fact that many years earlier, a quarter of a century earlier, had been the Histalkus of the Magid. I mean, so it's the same day of the month. So what? I mean, the Rebbe explains, Al-Pi, that which the Alter Rebbe says in Igeres HaKodesh, that on the time of the Histalkus of a tzaddik, then all his avodah is oila with him to his sheresh u'moker. And this we know that the day of a Yortzeit is the same aliyah, similar aliyah takes place not only on the actual day of Histalkus, but on that when that day comes round every year. And Mela, on this day of Yutes Kislev, being the Yom Histalkus, being the Yom Hilula of the Mezritcha Magid, because of that, it means all the inyanim of the Mezritcha Magid were oila to their sheresh u'moka, to their source. The mind had a great aliyah and elevation, and therefore this applies to his talmidim also. The talmidim of the tzaddik, his inyanim, his Torah, and his avodah, oila l'mayla. This is pale. This is those who are makabel from him, receive from him. His Torah is also as pale for them, and aliyah also. Mela, the Alter Rebbe being one of the closest if not the closest of the Talmidim, the greatest Makablim from the Magid. Therefore, when there's a Aliyah for the Torah of the Magid, which is on the Yom Hilula Shaloi, on Yutes Kislev, this is pale for the Alter Rebbe, also in his Inyanim, and the Inyanim of Yefutza Meinasech of Futza, which he was trying to be achieved then, which there was the Hell of Behester. To prevent that happening is this, the fact that it was the Yom Hilula of the Magid, this helped, it gave a siyur to overcome this nisoyan. Bichlal, the whole Inyan of Teres Achsidus was something which the Alter Rebbe was makabel from the Magid. The whole tkufa in his life started when he went to the Magid, and the Magid gave over to him the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov had already told the Magid beforehand that this person is going to come to him, this neshama is going to come to him, and he should be very careful with this neshama, and with the neshama of the Alter Rebbe, etc. We find with regard to the Alter Rebbe going to the Mezritcher Magid, there's a very interesting sikha of the Friedrich Rebbe with regard to this, even though it looks lich'eira as the sikha is contradicted by what is said in sikhas in other places. The question is, when did the Alter Rebbe go to the Magid the first time? In some sikhas it says that the Alter Rebbe went to the Magid the first time in Tov Kuf Chof Hei. Tov Kuf Chof Hei, which is when the Alter Rebbe became 20 years old, on Chai Elul, Tov Kuf Chof Hei. But then, from the months and the months before that, after Chag Pesach, in Tov Kuf Chof Hei, several months before his 20th birthday, the Alter Rebbe was preparing himself to go to the Magid then at that time. But he went in the second half of Tov Kuf Chof Hei. That is when he went to the Magid. That's what it says in one place. In another place, another sikh elsewhere, the Rebbe says differently. The Rebbe says differently. He says that which the Alter Rebbe went to the Magid was before Tov Kuf Chof Hei. He'd already gone, Masha over there, he'd already gone several times before Tov Kuf Chof Hei. He speaks there about how he used to go before Tov Kuf Chof Hei. And the Chiddush was that in Tov Kuf Chof Hei, there was a change in the Alter Rebbe's Seder. What was the change? He says there, this is Sichon Tov Shin Hei. He says there that till Tov Kuf Chof Hei, the Alter Rebbe used to go to the Magid by foot, used to walk all the way to the Magid. That means he walked from Vitebsk, he walked all the way to Mezrich. He walked there, Masher several times, there was Masher Lolosh. He came back, he rode back, he came back in a wagon or whatever. He rode back, didn't walk back. But going there, he walked by foot. Coming back, he traveled. What is the reason why you should go by foot and come back in a different way and come back by a carriage? The Pashtus, even in Halacha, we find differences in the inyan of going to be Makabel Pnei Rabbi. The Gemara says you're going to be Makabel Pnei Rabbi, to a Talmud, to go to Rabbi. This is going to do a mitzvah. He's already been, he's coming back home now. It's not a mitzvah to come back home, to go away from his Rebbe. The mitzvah to go to his Rebbe, to Makabel Pnei Rabbi. In Memela, the mitzvah is the going there. Memela is understood that you can say that the Alter Rebbe walked there, but Davke is makpid. Davka to walk all the way to Mezrich. Walking all the way to Mezrich, I cannot say that I've ever walked such a distance myself, but I'm just being a shire. According to where Vitebsk is nowadays, Mezrich is nowadays. Rabbi Engel was so good to find out for me exactly how far it is from Vitebsk to Mezrich. And we discovered that from Vitebsk to Mezrich is nowadays as a journey of, I think, about 735 kilometers. 735 kilometers with the present day. Nowadays, they have things called roads nowadays, which are paved and you can travel on them, which that 250 years ago was love. Things were so easy. Traveling then in those days was a much more difficult, a much more challenging thing. Even nowadays, if I were to walk from Vitebsk to Mezrich, I reckon it would take me at least 3 weeks to walk from Vitebsk to Mezrich. I reckon, just walking without taking or accepting a ride. And days with not such roads, non-existent, much more difficult to go. One would imagine it would take at least 4 or 5 weeks at least to go. I'll call upon him. There's what the Rebbe says in the Sikha, that this is the way the Alter Rebbe used to go before Tov Kuf Chav Hei. The Alter Rebbe used to go to the Magid in this way. He walked there and he rode back, but he walked there until Tov Kuf Chav Hei. And what happened in Tov Kuf Chav Hei? Tov Kuf Chav Hei, the Magid told him to stop doing that. The Magid told the Alter Rebbe, Du wirst haben a schwere Arbeit. The Magid told the Alter Rebbe, you're going to have a tough time. You're going to have you've got a hard work to do in your life. In a Mela, don't give your keiches away on inyonim chitzonim. Don't spend your keiches, don't spend your powers on inyonim chitzonim, on superficial things. That means to spend several weeks walking from Vitebsk to Mezrich when you could ride there and be there. If you go by horse and cart, I said you could be there in a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. Then you're giving your keiches away to go walking a distance of 700 and something or whatever it is, however many kilometers it is. Was it pshat? A person shouldn't spend his keiches on inyonim chitzonim. What does this mean, inyonim chitzonim? What is pshat inyonim chitzonim to kinyonim? What is pshat? An inyan of a Talmud going lahakbil pnei Rabbi is brought down in Gemara that this is a mitzvah. Because of that, Chazal and Mekel and Kame in Yonim, because this is a statement of a Dvar mitzvah. What pshat in Yonim chitzonim? Pshat. Or Bechlal what's to be in Yonim chitzonim? I remember I heard, I don't know how people understand the idea of chitzonius, but if you talk about by Chabad, a chitzon is about one of the worst things you can be as a chitzon. So, but what is a chitzon? Such as a zidlvot. They tell a person if he's a chitzon, you couldn't tell him anything much worse than that. What is a chitzon? What exactly does it mean, a chitzon? I remember once when Mendel Futzevas, he said, a chitzon. What pshat a chitzon? People think a chitzon is someone, a person who is, I don't know what he does, a longer Shemina Esra over there. He stands there, stands Shemina Esra 10 minutes over there. Really, he's looking at his phone half the time or something. He's got it under his talus. He covers his head with the talus. He's got a phone underneath. And he's looking at the phone. It takes him 10 minutes to daven Shemina Esra till he's finished on his phone over there. Everyone thinks he's shuckling under the talus over there. Everyone thinks that he's davening Barichas Gedola with a great avodah. Not shaykhs to say. Is that pshat a chitzon? That's not pshat a chitzon, he said. That's pshat a shakher. Chitzonis is not sheker. Sheker is a lie. If you are a faker, you're a faker. A faker is a lie. You're making a sheker. You're trying to convey an impression which is not true about yourself. what Chitzonius is all about. It's not necessary. Do we need to do? Is it necessary to talk about such a Chassidish for Mashpim and for Rabbeim to be shelo, to negate such a thing, an Indian of Sheker, an Indian to alive? Supposed to keep away from lies. You're telling a lie if you're a faker. A faker has no place, nothing even to talk about, nothing even to negate over here. A chitzon is pshat, is an emissary. He's not a chas v'sholem, a liar. A chitzon is pshat, is an emissary. He means emes what he's doing. He's doing it with an emes. He's putting himself into it with an emes. He's not fooling anybody. He's really serious. He's doing it. But nevertheless, Afal Pikein, the Inyan, it could be, the Inyan which he's doing is an Inyan of Chitzonius. It could be that it's not Kedai for him to put Keichos in that particular Eifan, even though he means it very seriously, and it could be it's an Inyan of Avodas Hashem, but it could be that there are more important Inyanim for him to do. Now this is Mela, this is something which could wait for another time or different circumstances or whatever. This is the Inyan that a person has to know what is Mo Hashem Elekecho Sheil Mi'imoch. What does the Eibishter want of you? The Maggid said to the Alter Rebbe, not to be a shaykh, of course, to such the Madrigas, but if it's printed in the Sichas, this is Pshat Seiro. Otherwise, the Rabbi wouldn't bother saying the thing. To tell us what the Maggid said to the Alter Rebbe, so what? I mean, we're not the Alter Rebbe, we're not the Maggid. And we're not doing that avodah b'chlal, no one's doing that avodah nowadays. It's not the point. The Maggid said to the Alter Rebbe, you are going to have a shvera arbut. You've got a tough task ahead of you. The Inyan of your futsu, meinesecho, chutza, you've got a tough task ahead of you. You cannot give your keiches away on Inyanim Chitzonius. It's very good that you're walking 750 kilometers or whatever it is, walking for weeks, days and weeks on end, mitzad, all the right kavonas, la'akbil, pnei rabbi, v'chulu, v'chulu, all very good. But nevertheless, you cannot afford to give your keiches on such inyanim, the inyan of your futsu, meinesecho, chutza, the inyan of helping other Yidden to understand the inyanim of limud achsidus, dark achsidus, the inyan of pnimis ha-Torah, the spreading of Torah Sabal Shem Tov and Torah Samagid. This is something which is not going to be served too well if you're going to be spending weeks walking and walking hundreds of kilometers, taking away your physical keiches. You can't afford it. You can't do it. The Mela, this is an inyan lafi erech. This is an inyan chitzoni. There are more important things, and the shver arbet, the harder things to do, harder taka. You're going on a way, you're going a long way, walk for weeks on end. I'm sure nobody interrupted the Alter Rebbe at all. Whenever many times he went to Mezerich and he was walking along, nobody bothered him at all. When you walk along on a country road, and then you're alone, and nobody bothers you, you can lechtichov aderech, you can think, be misbeinen in the gadol sabira, and the Alter Rebbe. Fine. This is all very good. But nevertheless, you're going to have a shvera arbet. There's a tougher task waiting for you. That is your futsu meinesecho chutza. The Indian are taking in the mayonas of the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid of Pnimis HaTorah and being mefit them. Chutza shlamato mimenu onto levels which are lower, difficult, resisting, etc. But that is your avodah, to do that. That easy? No, much more difficult. Right? So therefore, we all have, what I need to say is, we are all faced with such choices. the whole time. We don't necessarily have the Maggid to tell us, the Rebbe necessarily to tell you, this is not Avodah Chitzonius, it's not for you. You don't. All right, it means how a person should find out what is Kedai and what is not so Kedai, what is an Avodah Chitzonius, not Kedai, and what is an Avodah Pnimis and more Kedai. How a person should find this out is a separate issue. How a person should Asay L'cho Rav, how to find out what. But the Nekuda over here, the Sipur, the Chayra, the Nekuda is, and there are in Yonim Chitzonius. The inyanim which you mean b'chol levovcha, b'chol nafshecha, you mean mamish to do these inyanim. The inyanim of avodas Hashem, and there can be the even limud achsidus, they're even dark achsidus. But nevertheless, despite the fact that they are dark achsidus, which is going to be a lahakbil pnei rabba, it's going to be by the Maggid, etc., and be makabel, the Teiras of the Baal Shem Tov, v'cholo, surely dark achsidus and limud achsidus. But nevertheless, there's everything, the details of that have to be in a way that the Ikar remains an Ikar, and the Tafel will then automatically be a Tafel, and it could be that on the Tafel of the secondary thing, it's not Kedai to give your Keichas away, not worth it to give your keichas away on such a thing. Every person has the similar shaylas, and we all have keichas, and we all have limited keichas, a limited amount of time and energy, and keichas hanefesh, and etc., and opportunities. Every person, a person has to recognize sometimes that he's involved in inyanim, and these inyanim, and he means them absolutely for the good, and they are taki inyanim teivim ma'oid, very, very good inyanim, and they're inyanim of limud achsidus and dark achsidus and limud hanigla and follow out hidden mitzvahs, whatever the inyan may be. But at the end of the day, it could be that it's an inyan chitzoni. It could be that it's not so important in comparison with something else. And a person doesn't want to be, especially he's used to doing things in a certain way, doesn't want to change. Because of that, it's very hard for him, etc. Very hard for him to be makabel, such a different, he might be not doing things 100% in the right way. Might be. Al Kol Panim, he says there in the Sikh, when the Maggid told the Alter Rebbe this, from then on, he says straight away, from then on, the Alter Rebbe never walked again to Mezrich after that. From then on, he went both ways by, he went by carriage, whether coach, whatever the way was, in the way we took the minimum amount of time. The Rebbe was very strong on that Asay L'cho Rav. And the Rebbe said then, when he was talking about Asay L'cho Rav, that every person needs to have a Rav, and the Rav will have to tell the person who's asking him things which that person doesn't want to hear. Because if he tells him only things which he wants to hear, is Achen Rebbe's word, Achen Vei to Azar Afonov. Well, you need to say L'cho Rav, you bribe somebody to be your Rav, and you'll tell me exactly what I want to hear. You know, we've got to say it because you never said so. You understand? You never said Asay L'cho Rav. And mate, I know you haven't got the time. I know you've got 100 other people. I know it doesn't matter. I'm asking, please do me a favor. I want to, because the Rebbe said, right, Asay L'cho Rav. It's all right. It's all right. Just tell me when I ask you something. Don't waste time thinking about it too much. I'll tell you what I want to hear, and you tell me yes straight away. That's all. The Rebbe said, Achen Vei to Azar Abodos, the Asay L'cho Rav, it means something serious over here. Serious is the pshat to tell you what you don't want to hear, not the way you think, not that way. That is already not so simple, and doesn't want to accept it. But at any rate, we see this is I think this is the most difficult nekuda of all, this Asay L'cho Rav. This inyan is, nobody wants to, yeah, man, I'll decide for myself or what, I'll do other means, etc. I've got nothing against Igros. in any way, but the Rebbe didn't say Igros, the Rebbe said Asay L'Chorav. That's what the Rebbe said. About Igros, I think it's just very good what Rabbi Weinberg said on Moshe when he was here about 20 odd years ago. Rabbi Weinberg said then, Ich bin in jenem Cheder nicht gegangen. Ich bin in jenem Cheder nicht gegangen. I didn't go to that Cheder. That wasn't the Cheder I learned in, where they tell the what the Indian of Igros. But he said that Yidden have a moist of Amishach, made in Yadim, you can't be Makrish. The Yidden have a Meisim and the Igros, fine. But ich bin in jenem Cheder nicht gegangen. I didn't go to that Cheder. A person, I went to a Cheder, my Cheder, I was taught Kach, Bekach, Bekach. And that was the Cheder I went into. I didn't go to that Cheder. The Rebbe said, Asay L'chor Rav means Pashtus Asay L'chor Rav. That's what it means. There has to be somebody you can ask. So, who? Doesn't matter who. It's not Negea who. You choose somebody, and that person will tell you you'll be, and it's of course, it's so much easier maybe to cut it out, the whole thing. It takes time, it's a nuisance, and he hasn't got time always to answer, to hear, and to think, and to say, and to consider. We know all this. At the end of the day, the Rebbe said, Asay L'chor Rav. The Alter Rebbe had the Mezritcher Magid. The Mezritcher Magid said to the Alter Rebbe, it was the schwere Arbeit. You got a bigger job in front of you. You leave away the Yadim Chitzonim. Stop going, stop walking 700 kilometers. Stop this. No, don't do it. So what? So Alter Rebbe stopped. That's all. End of story. End of story. That's all. Chaim, the Eibusha should help. We should make time needed for Asay L'chor Rav. Every person who is a Yid, Asay L'chor Rav is said to every Yid. But there's a mamash, a big inyan with the Rebbe, a big hadgosha on this inyan. Al-Kama inyanim, which would not be problematic if we would be Makayim, this inyan of Asay L'chor Rav. Could the boy Lemer be the way it's supposed to be? L'chaim. חיים. In a Sikha of Tov Resh Tzadik Aleph, the Frierdiker Rebbe brings down there that Chassidim who were Bali Havana and Bali Hergesh, they counted 10 Nisyonos of the Alter Rebbe, and they counted 10 Schusim of the Alter Rebbe. And he lists there in the Sichos on the first day of Yud Tes Kislev and the second Farbrengen of Yutes Kislev. He lists there the 10 nisyonos of the Alter Rebbe, 10 schusim of the Alter Rebbe. Some of them are very well understood. Among the nisyonos, he brings there the hisnagdus, the opposition which the Alter Rebbe had from chaverim, from those who are stam misnagdim, in yodim of machloikas. All right, we understand machloikas, hisnagdus, and such things. Everyone understands that that is an isoyan. It's unpleasant. It is an isoyan. Maybe it needs to be, but it's al kol ponim. The etzem inyan itself is unpleasant. It is an isoyan, a test, a trial, a difficulty. And the schusim of the Alter Rebbe, he brings down, was also certain in Yonim, which the Alter Rebbe was Masaker, or a schus for the Alter Rebbe, fine. And those are understood. However, there are several inyanim over there, which as he was asked, Shas Maisa, he was asked there. For example, he does not bring down there among the nisyonos of the Alter Rebbe, he does not bring down the imprisonment of Yutes Kislev. The whole inyan of the Maisa, that which the Alter Rebbe was imprisoned for 53 days, that whole inyan is not reckoned as an Nisayan. And someone asked there, B'shas Maisa, someone asked straight away, why don't you say that inyan, the imprisonment of the Alter Rebbe? Why don't you mention that? And the answer which the Rebbe gives over there is not 100% clear. What he says over there is not quite clear what exactly is he's saying, what exactly is, how he is answering that question over there. But at any rate, that is not such a big shayla, the emes. Because in other places, the Friedrich Rebbe brings down the Sichin Lekuti Diburim there, and the Kama Mekemes, that by a tzaddik bichlal, by the Arabeim bifrat, it's not shaykh to say that anything should happen which is neged to them, which is neged Rotzono. Not shaykh to say such a thing. If the Alter Rebbe would not have accepted willingly the inyan of the mice and the imprisonment of Yutes Kislev, there's no way that such a thing could have happened. As he brings the proof from that, from the fact that he didn't on the way to Peterburg in the carriage on Erev Shabbos, the Alter Rebbe decided long before Shabbos came in, as his Meirich in the Sikha, that is the Chiddush. Shebedobo, not that the Alter Rebbe refused to travel Shabbos. That's nothing to talk about, because that's a din in Shulchan Aruch. But hours, many hours before Shabbos, on Friday morning already, the Alter Rebbe said, "No, we're not going any further. Sure, that's it. No more." Because Shabbos is coming this evening, several hours later. They were not going any further now. And of course, the police or the soldiers didn't want to listen, so the wheels broke and the horses died, etc. In the end, that was it. The Alter Rebbe said, "We're staying here in the field." They stayed in the field for Shabbos. That's it. End of story. From that, the whole thing there is brought by the Friedrich Rebbe just to illustrate that nothing could happen neged the rotzen of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe didn't want it to happen. It's not going to happen. End of story. That's just a prat, a detail, the Gabi going of traveling on Erev Shabbos. The Mela is understood, the Gabi, the Klolos Inyan HaMais, he brings out there the whole Inyan of the imprisonment. That this is, you cannot say that this the Alter Rebbe, this is something forced on the Alter Rebbe. Not forced on the Alter Rebbe Bichlal. The Alter Rebbe chose to have to go through this inyan. The Mela, it's understood Efshe, that is the Pshat, why the Alter Rebbe was Besimcha Gedola, the Loshni brings that other places, Besimcha Gedola, sitting in prison there with the Magid and the Baal Shem Tov coming to him. The Alter Rebbe was Besimcha Gedola, sitting in prison, Besimcha Gedola. Right? Sure. So I understand if that's a matter of choice, so the Alter Rebbe chose. And the Alter Rebbe is Besimcha Gedola. And it's together with the Baal Shem Tov and the Mizrach Magid. You can understand that would not be perhaps, that is a chilek, at least, of the reason why this is not considered as a nisoyan, because Mitzad Alter Rebbe himself, so the inyan is adrab of adrab, is not an inyan of hell and behest of the Alter Rebbe himself. But there's an inyan which he says over there, two things which he says over there, which is lich'eira, difficult to understand. He brings down there in the list of Asora Nisyonos, the 10 tests which the Alter Rebbe had, one of them is Hachros Dinim Shebeshulchan Aruch, the inyan of deciding the din, a psak din, to write in the Shulchan Aruch. That is an nisayon. It's a difficulty. You're not sure how to decide. It's a machlekas, Magen Avraham, the Taz. How we're going to pasken lahalacha, hachros dinim in Shulchan Aruch. This is a nisayon for the Alter Rebbe. This is one of the asara nisyonos. This inyan. I'm just repeating what it says in the Sikh. I'm not making up stories over here. That's what I'm just repeating the words of the Sikh. And then in the other Sikha, where he speaks about the Asoras Chusim of the Alter Rebbe, there he says, Sidur Dvarim Shebeshulchan Aruch. The arranging of the words in the Shulchan Aruch, that is a schus of the Alter Rebbe. So this is, what is the pshat over here exactly? I said two in Yorim with regard to the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Of course, we ourselves would not have thought that either of them are nisoyan shulchan aruch. What? The Al-Kol Ponim. This is what he said. Hachros dinim shebeshulchan aruch, deciding what din to write to make a decision. This is a nisoyan for the Alter Rebbe. And then sidur dinim shebeshulchan aruch, actually setting up the Shulchan Aruch, writing the actual Shulchan Aruch itself. That is a schus. That is not a nisoyan. That is a schus. That is an inyan toiv. What is the pshat? What is the nafkamina over here between hachros dinim shebeshulchan aruch and the inyan of sidur dvarim shebeshulchan aruch? What is the difference between these two things? L'cheira, the beer is a beer poshet. The Alter Rebbe brings in Torah beginning of Parshas Shmos, the Alter Rebbe brings there, that the Zohar says, then if I moras chayehem, avoda kosher, b'chema, v'ulvenim, that the Yidden were in Mitzrayim, vayamoru es chayehem, the Egyptians made their lives bitter. Ba'avoda kosher, with hard work, b'chema, v'ulvenim, with chema and bricks, cement and bricks, mortar and bricks. The simple meaning of the pasuk everyone understands. Yeah, force them to work hard to build to the Bisam and Ramses and the Kol Avoda. All they understand what it means. But the Zohar says, the Zohar explains, "Vayamoru es chayehem." What is chayehem? What is the life of a Yid? Yehem chayenu v'erech yomeinu. The life of a Yid is Torah mitzvahs. In Yonim Ruchnim, this is the life of a Yid. Not the Chayim HaGashmi. The Gashmistic life is not the life of the Yid. The Ruchnistic life, Torah mitzvahs, this is his life. What does it mean? Vayemoru es chayehem. They made bitter their lives. That which was chayehem, their heim chayenu, the divrei Torah, words of Torah, which were the chayim, ruchnim, the chayim ikrim of a yid, is vayemoru es chayehem. They made them bitter. Their lives were bitter. B'chema uvilveinim, says the Zohar. What does this mean? B'chema do kal b'chema. Uvilveinim do libun hilchasa. That word chema means kal b'chema. You learn a kal b'chema, one of the Yud Gimel Midas. Shahatera nidreshes bohem. One of the ways, the rules according to which learning Torah. Uvilveinim is libun hilchasa, clarifying the halacha. This is the pshat Mitzrayim. This is the Mitzrayim, the golus of Mitzrayim. The Rebbe once said concerning this, Amavolke kent yotze sein the golus with this inyan. The kent yotze sein the golus. I heard this evening, I bought some sefer, which strikes me as very, very similar to this. Some sefer explains, apparently, some sefer explains, Kach Shomaiti. Some sefer explains why Talmidei Chachamim marbim shalom ba'olam, because by Talmidei Chachamim, which they are having milchama, say chelukei deis, etc., and saying chelkeinu is b'seir hasecha, is when there is the inyan of chelkeinu, the inyan of machlokas, b'seir hasecha. This is in yonim of Torah, Mimela Fashpot man durch dem. You avoid through that having machlokas and milchama and other inyanim. In milchama kipshuta. Mimela Talmidei Chachamim, which that is their inyan, having machlokas and in Torah, is the marbim shalom ba'olam, means they are less milchamas and machlokas and kipshuta in olam. And when I heard this, it struck me this is exactly what the Rebbe said there. I remember the Rebbe said then in the Sicha, I'm a volt gat slicha, I'm a volt gechapzach, volt men yotze gewen, the inyan von Golus, the inyan von Chema, Leveinim, what can yotze sein, the yotze that inyan with Kal v'Chema, and Libun Hilchasa, to be yotze the whole inyan of Avodas Mitzrayim, Golus Mitzrayim, etc. in Limud HaTorah, to be yotze, with them be yotze the inyan. I mean, you could have the inyan, that the inyan doesn't need to be Kipshuta, Mitzrayim Kipshuta, with the inyan of Avodah Kipshuta, Chema, Avodas Peret Kipshuta. The whole thing can be done in Torah itself. Al Kol Ponim, what we see from that statement of the Zohar, that what? That there's the inyan of Kal v'Chema, which are Kal v'Chema, as most of the Bachrim here now, I think, are bigger experts than me in the inyan of the Yud Gimel Midas Sha'atera Nidreshes Lahem, of which they have Chema Kipshuta, not Kal v'Chema, they have Chema Kipshuta in Yorim Barichas Gedela, and learning all the Yud Gimel Midas Sha'atera Nidreshes Lahem, is that the Golus has helped them in that inyan also. Apparently, they know better than but Kal v'Chema is an inyan of Seichel. You are trying to understand what Torah wants, or using your seichel to understand what Torah wants. It's an inyan, it's a difficulty, because Torah doesn't say. You have to use your seichel, matriach, your seichel, to realize that what? That if kach, then Kal v'Chema kach, how much more so? The inyan of seichel. All right, that's a Kal v'Chema. And then Chema uleveinim, libun hilchasa. Libun hilchasa is clarifying the halacha. So the Zohar is saying that this inyan of libun hilchasa, this inyan of clarifying the halacha, this is part of the Golus Mitzrayim, a Mitzrayim in Torah, an inyan of Golus in Torah. But nevertheless, an inyan of Golus, an inyan of difficulty, Libun Hilchasa, to be malaban the halacha, to clarify the halacha. Why? Because the Taz says one way, and the Magen Avraham says differently. And Mela, each one of them, Eilu ve'Eilu divrei Elokim chayim, and Mela, there can be a kama timim utzdodim to say like the Taz, and oy kama timim utzdodim to say the Hepech, to say like the Magen Avraham. And the Alter Rebbe comes, the Alter Rebbe has to make a decision over here, Achra, Halacha, Lemaisa, what to write in the Shulchan Aruch, and in Shulchan Aruch, what to write, Halacha, Lemaisa, L'chol Beis Yisrael. What should they do? Should we pass the Halacha like the Taz? Should we pass the Halacha like the Magen Avraham, which Eilu, Divrei Elikim Chayim, they're both Divrei Elikim Chayim, and Mela, they're Svaras, Gedolos, Vamukhes, in both Tzdodim of the thing. This is Achros Dinim. And Mela, this is an inyan of Golus. This is an inyan of Avodas Mitzrayim, which is Keitem Matan Torah, Avodas Mitzrayim, to be able to be Melibun Hilchas. This the Pasuk is saying, according to the Pirush of the Zohar, the Pasuk is saying over here that this is the inyan of Libun Hilchasa, this is Avodas Mitzrayim, the Avodah of God. Mela, we can understand that this thing which the Elter Chassidim said, which were brought to the Rebbe in the Sicha, that this inyan of Hachros, Dinim, Sheva Shulchan Aruch, this is one of the Asara Nisyonos of the Alter Rebbe, was a Nisoyen. Not an inyan in Bedoima, in Oifen Hadoima to Machlokas in that sense. But it's still a Machlokas. A Machlokas in the Magen Avraham, the Taz is also a Machlokas. You said you're going to make a decision. It's also, you have to come a Achra. Everything is a Machlokas. Yesh leim Mekain, v'yesh leim Lehepech. Ken sagen Azayim, ken sagen Fakert. In every inyan, there can be like this. It is foolishness to believe, and a juvenile, if you'll forgive my saying, to using the word, but juvenile to believe and immature to believe that it has to be that way. Good. Is that so? It has to be that way. No such thing. It has to be that way. Nothing has to be that way. It can be a pasuk, it can be a Maimah Chazal. It doesn't matter. You see, many times in the Sichas, the Rebbe asks on my Moyer Chazal. Doesn't just ask on a pirush of some achron or something like that. He asks a poshet, a klotz kasha on a Maimah Chazal, or even on a posuk sometimes. Every inyan, if you want to understand an inyan, la ashura or l'oimka, you have to recognize that there's always yesh ponim lekan, but yesh ponim lekan. You can say one way and you can say the other way. And you have to recognize that. You have to realize that. And you have to realize if Torah says specifically one way, if that is what Torah is saying, then you will have to understand why Torah says specifically that way rather than the other way. That is called Havana V'Hasaga. And that is Limud HaTorah. Not just repeating the words like a parrot to sit there and say the words. Those are good. Fine to say the words. The Torah Shebik Sav is very good. Say the words. And say the words. If you don't know what you're saying, doesn't matter. But Torah Shebal Peh, you have to understand what you're saying. There's understanding. There's understanding. You can just say the words and understand their simple meaning, but not understand why this is being said. What is the Havana? And in Havana itself, the Kama Madregas, many different levels in Havana of Chol Inyan V'Inyan, every single Inyan. And therefore, when you're coming to a Machlikas, it's in Poskim, it has, a person, it's a huge Achrayas, it's just the Achrayas, the Gabi Mamush. But in the Etzim Inyan, how are you Machriya? How do you decide whether in every Inyan, in every suffix, in every Shaila, in every Machlikas? A huge thing, because you see there are two Gedele Yisrael, Gedele Achrein, who are arguing in this thing. Kol shkeli with some Machlikas in the B'Sheinem. Al kol ponim, we can understand that why Hachros Dinim Sheva Shulchan Aruch, why that is considered as a nisoyan. And then there's the second inyan, Sidur Dinim Sheva Shulchan Aruch. arranging the Shulchan Aruch itself, you made achra, you came to a decision that the halacha is going to be kach v'kach. Now the Alter Rebbe had to write a Shulchan Aruch. Chudas, Harav, Magid. The Magid told the Alter Rebbe, chose the Alter Rebbe, and told him to write a Shulchan Aruch. And that's what the Alter Rebbe did. Is after you've decided what you're going to write, what the hachra is in a given question, in a given shaila, after you have decided that, will then have to be the siddur of that inyan, that will have to be nistada, organize how to present this inyan, in this hachra in Shulchan Aruch. That in the Chiddush, in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, everyone knows, even the Gedolei HaMenagdim b'chulu knows that the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch is mitztayen al derech the Rambam, and perhaps even more than the Rambam, the Sheinei Hazor, the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch is meduyek mamash in every prat, the way the Alter Rebbe chose to express an inyan, that this has always been, not just by Chassidim, kolshke by Chassidim, but even by those who are not shaykh as klal, or think they're not shaykh as klal to the inyan of Chassidus. Nevertheless, there's always been that recognition that the lashon of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch is something which is b'diuk mamash. It meant exactly what is said, and one has to be a mizbeinen heitig, a mizbeinen ba'ariches, and be'iyun in oimek dvarav, in the mashmoas dvarav, just the same as we find achreinim doing, meforshim doing by the Rambam, that they are medayik in l'shonah of the Rambam, kama diyukim, and chidushei halachas, which are learnt out davka from diyukim in the mashmoas. It's at the Sidur Loshen Rambam, the way the Rambam expresses himself is the Loshen is there's a huge amount of mashmos reading between the lines, so to speak. Is similar in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. This inyan, the inyan of Sidur Dvarim Shulchan, the Alter Rebbe has already made a hachra, decided already, and there's a machlekes between the Mogen Avram and the Taz. The Alter Rebbe has already decided what the halacha is over here, how to paskin la halacha. Now it's just a question of what? Of expressing it, finding the loshen with which to express this psak din halacha l'maisa. How to express that is an inyan of schus. That is not an inyan of nisoya. Why is it not an inyan of nisoya? In Pashtuts, there are no two tzdodim over here. There are no two tzdodim. This is just an inyan of giving over, expressing your futzu meinasech or chutza, just making sure that the thing comes across clearly. That's all. But not that there are be'emes two tzdodim over here. There are no two tzdodim. That has already been decided earlier. Memela hayetzelonu mitvarenu is understood very clearly from this that we have two inyanim over here. First, you have the inyan of an isoyan. The inyan of an isoyan is when there is a machlokas. When there is a machlokas chilukei deyas, then you have to be shoylel one deya and oichas in the other deya. Negate one opinion and take on like the other one. This is an inyan of an isoyan to do like this. That was one of the asora nisyonos of the Alter Rebbe. But then after that, once you've made a hachra, once you've made a decision, is just a question of presenting it. B'sidur inyanim sheb'shulchan aruch. This is an inyan of the yefutzu meinasech or chutza. This is the inyan of giving bir ha-Torah. Mimenu teitzei, the inyan, the Torah goes out from him. The Rab teaches a Talmud. That's the Rab teaching the Talmud. That's a schus. Mitalmida yoyse mikulu. I feel without the mitalmida yoyse mikulu, the etzem inyan that the Rab can communicate to the Talmud, that is a schus. Memela, if this we see the two inyanim lechera here in the same inyan in Shulchan Aruch itself, but a nisayon, first the nisayon and then a schus. First the nisayon is to make a decision, and then to go and implement that decision and give it over in such a way, a tzir, a psak din in Shulchan Aruch, which this will be for you and for whole Beis Yisrael. Every Yid should know what to do, how to conduct himself. That is just an inyan of a schus. Similarly, we have the inyan. We see there's an inyan over here. In every inyan, there's the same thing. There has to be first the hachra, and then after that inyan of the hachra, first you have a decision. You have to weigh up first. And after that is just the spreading of the inyan. I don't know if this is so or not so, but I think there's a nakuda over here which has not been emphasized sufficiently with regard to the Rebbe. Say stories, two incidents at least, with regard to the Rebbe, which have been presented in such a way, totally missing out this nakuda. Two maisim which have been espoused in the shonim or achreinis of recent years, which I think both of these maisim have managed to, while presenting the maisim b'shleimus, have both managed to completely ignore this nakuda, which I find disturbing. What are the two maisim? One is with regard to camp. Machnas, Camp Gun Israel. Camp Gun Israel, this time of the year in Australia, where some people are totally, their minds are totally focused on Camp Gun Israel. Fine, soll sein also. With regard to Camp Gun Israel, there wasn't a camp first. In the early years, there was no camp. The Bible didn't have a camp, they didn't make a camp, nothing. A few years ago, was the Spasa Moshe Lazar, was Mr. Mafaz, because he was a bocher at the time. We start with Kos Weiss, started the inyan of the camp, and they went into the Rebbe apparently to explain about the inyan of the camp. Why is it important? What the mile of a camp, of having a camp? And the Rebbe was asked the priest to explain to him what is so good about, what is the point? What is the point of having a camp? Who needs a camp? What is this camp? What is this camp for, etc.? And apparently Moshe Lazar was then all like a bocher is, all very ungehetzt, very more enthusiastic, and the bocher can't stand when you tell him something which is not exactly, he says, bei ihm eingefallen. Das, was ihm eingefallen, der letzten 2 Minuten, und Mela muss die ganze Welt neu designt sein. And Mela is the Rebbe started asking, the Rebbe said, go out, just come to yourself, then come back in again. So he went out, got his got himself together, got his act together, came back in, and the Rebbe asked just explain to him about the camp. Right, explained. Right. We all know. And this was such a chiddush a few years ago when he said this, because everyone has been hearing from the Rebbe, years Rebbe speaking the sichas without it, on the shir. How much the Rebbe held from camp? Unbelievable. How much the Rebbe encouraged and pushed in the camp, and the midas of the camp, etc., what it's going to achieve, v'chulu. You read the sichas, you read the printed sichas concerning this, you get the impression, reading these sichas, that this, if he came and said, I can't say it there. The way it's printed over here, this is mamash, this is the Hatzalah of Klal Yisrael. This is the most wonderful thing that came about since Matan Torah, Yitzchak or something. It's just about it's terrific. And this is what camp is all about. Camp is where Moshe Lazar now is 80, still alive. And Moshe Lazar, Baruch Hashem, Mark Yoms, 220. Comes and is Megala, no, not Dafka. But there's a suffix in the ganze Maisa, so to speak. So the Rebbe said, explain to me the Inyan. What this Inyan, what the Midas of the camp are. What's the Rebbe said? There's a very similar Maisa, which Yossi Jacobson is giving out of Maisa. I mean, this is principle there, so the videos a Maisa with David Edelman or Solomon there, Friedrich, Maisa with the Friedrich, the guy being Makar of Yidden. I think about being Makar of Yidden. A whole Maisa there. At the time of the Friedrich Rebbe, that's about the Indian being Makar of Yidden to Yidden are not so shaykh. That there was a suffix, so to speak, by the Rebbe. He went and asked the Friedrich Rebbe. He wasn't sure how to approach this thing. His whole question of being Makar of Yidden, that's bringing them close, etc. And the Rebbe went and asked the Friedrich Rebbe then, and then he came down. This is the time of the Friedrich Rebbe. And the Rebbe came down and he went and told the David Edelman or Shalom, he told him then. This is what my Shver says, so this is the way you should go. The whole in the Maisa, but the Nakuda Inyan is, as he brings out there quite eloquently, he brings out there this whole thing, the whole Katsa Maisa, with being Makar of Yidden, etc., etc. It's not pshat that it was a Dova Poshet, and this is the way it has to be, and this is the it was a big suffix, but the Rebbe was a big suffix. And the Rebbe had to go and ask the Friedrich Rebbe, and the Friedrich Rebbe told the Rebbe that this is the way to go. That this is so the Mamela. This became the thing. What I'm saying is, you have two Maisim over here, in which I said in this Gala Sholem Achar. If you'd asked 10 years ago, you'd have asked anyone concerning this that it's not saying. But maybe it's not so. Maybe the Rebbe it's crazy or something. What are you talking about? You show me one sikha where the Rebbe said not in favor of cap and not in favor of Makarim. Show me one word somewhere. So, well, I don't doubt that the Maisim are emes. You didn't tell lies. Don't tell lies. Don't make up stories. You know what I'm telling you. What happened over here? Yeah, the pshat is the Rebbe said, explain to me. That's all. The Rebbe said, explain to me. The Rebbe went and asked the Friedrich Rebbe, what should be the, that's all. It was a suffix, so to speak, whatever. But the yesh ponim lakan and yesh ponim lakan, you can say one way, you can say the other way. There are arguments, except it can say Nazayim, it can say Fakat. You can say both ways. And then after that was Ein Simcha Ka'atoras HaSveikas. After that as well, the doubt was removed. One way or another way, either mitzad Havona v'Asoga, that the Rebbe understood kach v'kach, or the Friedrich Rebbe said kach v'kach, whatever the reason was, but the Hatoras HaSveikas, the suffix was removed. Once the suffix was removed, then that's end of story after that. Nothing to talk about after that, and not the pshat. After that, once there's been a decision that there, Mamela, we say the whole time, yeah, but maybe, it could be, since, who said so? Since a machlekes, the Mogen Avraham and the Taz, after all, the Taz does say not like the Mogen Avraham. Mamela, as the Alter Rebbe decided to pass it like the Mogen Avraham, is Asha, okay, but the Taz is still printed on the other side of the page. The Taz is printed over there, and he argues with the Mogen Avraham. Mamela, no, the Alter Rebbe's Paskin Kach, the Psak Halacha is so. End of story. That is, this is the difference between Achros Dinim is that Isor should be when there's a Machlokas. That's an Isor. You got to make an Isor, and you've got to make a decision. But once you've made the decision, that's the end of the story. Now all exists is the way you decided. That's it. End of story. Nothing else. Nothing else. They're not pshat. If a person can't get that in his life, I'm saying say that with them daggers which are beyond us, but nevertheless, the Nakudas Indian is clear. Every person has speakers, and every person has to make decisions. Make a decision. How you'll make the decision? Either you. Whatever it is, that's a different question, how the decision will be reached. But once the decision is reached, is not the pshat that it remains to study. Such a person will never get anywhere in life. There has to be what? Once you make a decision, there could be a sofik lechatchila, it could be a sofik godel lechatchila, but once you have made a decision, that is the end of the story. There cannot be anything to talk about. I remember Zalman's he used to be said about a bacher. It says before my time, he was telling me about this bacher. They were saying that the bacher used to be in Yeshiva Gedola. You know, it used to have a lot. It used to be a lot tougher than it is now. Now the bacher were here in Yeshiva Gedola. Just are very predictable sort of people. You know, their parents sent them to Yeshiva Gedola. The Tata Tzchakta Satuk. The Tata gated mikvah, and the Tata Chamayim, and Shikta the Zun in Yeshiva Gedola sent his son to Yeshiva Gedola. Fine, you know, I wouldn't expect much else, so to speak. Fine, but it's not a big mapecha nafshis for anyone, not for the father and not for the son. Is there a huge question about this being in Yeshiva Gedola? It's a sort of predictable sort of thing, part of the lifestyle. So to speak. Well, all right, fine, very good, fine. But it didn't used to be like that. And when I came to Yeshiva Gedola, originally it used to be, and a Kolshkin before that, it used to be a Seder that most of the Bachrim who were here against their parents' will. They decided to be here against their parents' will. I had very little to do with parents, because the parents were bruigus completely with the whole Mesed. So therefore, the parents would never talk to us, Bechlal. The parent would never ask, how is my son doing? How is my son doing implies that the parent is somehow agreeing to his son being there. The parent is against himself, Tishanov Bank. The parent is completely against his son being there. He thinks his son should be in college, should be in university, fetching a bank somewhere. Some sort of chalumas about ruchnis or something like that. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He didn't go to university. All other terrible things, all catastrophes which have happened with his son. So there, but at any rate, I'm just saying it was very tough for a bocher to be in such a position where his parents are local parents. We're talking about everything was local then. So his parents are local. So it means he's in continual contact with his parents, and the parents are continually upset about the fact of what he's doing, and they'll let him know in no uncertain terms, because most of the parents were not Aussies, nice, genteel, civilized Aussies, but they were uncivilized Europeans, Holocaust survivors. And they were very, 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 no hesitation in expressing their opinion, their opposition to a bacher being. For a lot of the Bachrim, it became very, very tough. Be a person being in the nisyonos, the pressure from the parents to not be in yeshiva, and that the Bacher wanted to be in yeshiva, etc. It was very, very tough. Right? Anyway, so there was this Bacher. I can't remember the details. There was a certain Bacher. I remember his name. He's a shame. The Psalm was telling me this. I came as he had already left yeshiva Gedola by the time I came here. But at any rate, Zalman was telling me that this Bacha, he had these nisyonos, the nisyonos of the parents, the pressure from the parents, and he couldn't decide, he couldn't make the decision. He needed to make a decision, and having made a decision, once you've made a decision, you need to follow through on that decision. Sometimes people make decisions; they're not really making decisions at all. They're just postponing the decision. They're saying they're making a decision. They're not really making a decision at all. So as Bacha, he made a decision, and then he couldn't, the pressure of the parents, he didn't know how to carry through with it. So as Alma said, Ich habe ihm gesagt, that was quoted in Yiddish what the Alma said, Ich habe ihm gesagt, du darfst haben bei sich Starkheit. Und ich kann dir keine Starkheit nicht geben. Das ist eine Sache, du darfst gefunden bei sich. You need to have Starkheit, you need to have strength. And I can't give you strength. It's not some strength. Strength, no one can give you that. Starkheit, strength, you've got to have yourself. You've got to find that in yourself. It's not something which I can give you. I can tell you this, I can tell you that. I can tell you that Torah wants you to do this, Torah wants you to do that. All those things. But when at the end of the day, you're going to need starkheit. You need strength of character. And strength of character to make the right decision and to follow through afterwards. More importantly, to follow through on that decision. Not to be as a shmata. It's very difficult, very easy to say this. So, we don't have, I say, most often don't have those nisyonos now. Baruch Hashem, don't have those nisyonos. But the yeshiva then was almost made completely of such bochim. As Zalman used to say, the yeshiva is shivrei kelim. He used to say, the yeshiva is shivrei kelim. So the bochim go through nisyonos, very, very, very tough. And with darfst haben Starkheit. You need to have strength. And ich kann dir keine Starkheit nicht geben. Zalman was a Chassidish Yid and a mashpia, a big mashpia, a very Ayid, a pikeach. A pikeach also very, very smart, very, very well, clever, know how to smart operate, very, very smart. But nevertheless, some things, it's not a question of pikchas, that's being smart and knowing what the right thing is to do. There's some things you need to have strength of character. Strength of character, nobody can give you that. That's got to be by you. You can see somebody else who is strong. You can see that somebody else has strength of character. He has by himself starkheit. You can see that, all right? Maybe that will help you to be over your own starkheit. Maybe it won't. You can't be sure. But at any rate, for you to be matzliach in life, you to be matzliach, you will need to find the starkheit. You'll need to find the strength with yourself and in yourself. Torah gives Chassidus talks a lot about these inyanim of nisyonos, befrat. The Maimorim of the Friedrich Rebbe speaks a great deal about the inyan of nisyonos, and the particular time in which he lived, where the word big nisyonos at many different levels, etc. Still nisyonos. A Bacha doesn't know what he should be doing, how he should be doing it, etc. Who said, and why do you have to, and what does it matter, and why is it so important? And this one does that. All right, all these arguments have been heard from time immemorial. All these arguments have been heard one way, the other way, etc. At the end of the day, is davon starkheit. Ayid has to be strong. And this is the inyan we say, the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe to make a achra in Shulchan Aruch, a decision how to pasken. All right, that is an isoya to make a decision how to pasken. When there's a pasken, that's an isoya. But once the Alter Rebbe made a decision that the halach is going to be so, then end of story, end of nisoyan. No one is soyan after that. Once you made a decision, when is that the end of the story? When you taka made a decision. If you taka made a achra, then that's the end of the story. If you didn't really make a decision, you're still maybe whatever the thing may be. Then it's a ma'isa on a sof. It's without end. The Eibishter should help that we should have starkheit by zich. It's not something we can get from someone else. Something a person has to discover in himself, starkheit. Without starkheit, without strength by oneself, you cannot have hatzlacha. It cannot be without starkheit. A person needs to make decisions. A person needs to decide, and it could be, sometimes it could be the decision is be'emes, there are no two tzdodim be'emes. Perhaps the Riv cases, there's only what Torah says to do, it's not two tzdodim. And sometimes it could be that even there are perhaps two tzdodim. Yesh leima kach, yesh leima lehepach. So one way to either way, whatever the nisoyan is, the way, whatever way it presents itself to a person, the Eibishter should help that you should have starkheit, you should have strength of character. And when we have strength of character, we will do the right thing. We'll make the right decision, and having made the right decision, then it's just a schus after that to implement that decision. It's not a nisoyan anymore. It's ceased to be a nisoyan. So the Alter Rebbe was first had a nisoyan, and after that had a schus. Came to Elono, we should be misgaben and nisyonos, make the right sort of choices. And after that, having made the choice, Yelech Lovetach Darkly, to go to the Simcha Gedela and the right path. We made a decision, I know the right path is, end of story. Let's just go and do it. That's all. Put it into practice. Chaim. Let us sing this thing 35 years ago, approximately. There were shluchim here by Yutes Kislev, and they sang, I hadn't heard of them, the first part of this niggun. There's three bars in this niggun. While you're standing there, and I came to Kfar Chabad, I stood once by Farbrengen, Shlomo Chaim gave me. Oh, did he give me? Meinst du, so groß, du stehst doch, kannst du zusammen mit allem? Du verstehst, ja, Baruch Hashem, du verstehst. Wenn du verstehst, also was ich rede, sollst du verstehen genug, zu wegsetzen sich. Ja. I don't know what you're saying, mate, but just sit down anyway. Coming to shul tomorrow morning, yeah. I can daven here. You can daven here if you like. Daven 5:30.
AM.
AM, yeah, 5:30. With the 5:30 PM was the gemeente.
I'm going to lose any debate.
What?
I'm going to lose in any debate. But
You found that out years ago, didn't you?
yeah, but I never saw it right.
That's why we're good friends. That's right. Yeah. No, sing Avoida de Kaniga. Alle Niguns zijn zeer fijn. Avoida de Kaniga. Chaim. What's your problem? He's got a wife and kids. You've just got your own nefesh abamis. The Friedrich Rebbe brings in a Sikha Gabi of Levi Yitzchak Batisheva. There's so many maisim told about the Levi Yitzchak Batisheva. People know books of maisim of Levi Yitzchak Batisheva. The mais which he brings in this Sikha, I never saw elsewhere. Only the Sikha, I think it's Savyad, and there's ever even said as a Sikha. The mais which the Chera, did hardly need of Levi Yitzchak Batisheva for this Maisa. Levi Yitzchak Batisheva, he used to put it after davening Shachris in the morning. He would put away his own tefillin and fold his own talus. That's the whole Maisa. He put away his tefillin. What? Big deal. I do the same thing. I'm not a Levi Yitzchak Batisheva. I also fold my talus. I put away my tefillin. I think most people, they put away their tefillin, you know? But they'll have a talus, they put that away also. But I mean, what is the chiddush over here? What is the mokum diun over here? Yes, it's a question they asked the Shaila by Rabbi Yitzchak Batisheva, why are you so makpid, why are you so particular to do it yourself? He has a lot of chassidim and talmidim and kushorim. They'd be only too happy to do it for him, to put away his talus and tefillin, to fold up his talus, and to put away his tefillin for him. He doesn't need to do it himself. Give them the schus. Give them the schus to do it. They could efsha be put in that keshel and that tzichem Purim. He speaks there about the Karlinachs, the oldest kings in that tz'irim. The old guys, but preparing for the Rebbe coming, they didn't let the young people, the young chassidim, prepare the place. So this mitzad, the hadracha, the Rebbe brings there. If he's going to bring the mitzad, the hadracha, which the zakenim should do for the tz'irim, the old ones should step back and let the young ones do it. Because let them do it. They want to do it. Let them do it. Give them a chance to do it. That's itself as chinuch, is hadracha. That's a way of helping. Similarly over here, you want to put your own talus. Let the chassidim, let them do it. Be good. Let them put away. Anyway, they asked Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Batisheva, what is the reason? Why are you so makpid to put away the talus and tefillin yourself? So he answered the goof of Moshe Rabbeinu. As I'll say, the Gemara says in Seita, with regard to Moshe Rabbeinu, was mistalek, Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Isaac, the Eibishter was occupied himself in his Kfurah, burying Moshe Rabbeinu. What does it mean the Eibishter occupied himself? Why did the Eibishter occupy himself in burying Moshe Rabbeinu? Because this was a guf kodesh. A guf is a guf kodesh. That means a Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, the neshama. The Moshe Rabbeinu was in a guf. Bechalal neshama is in a guf. Because the neshama is the inyan of Elokus, the chelek el-kamimah. In Mela, the goof is a goof kodesh. The Mela is a filo after that which the neshama leaves the goof. After the stalkus of the neshama from the goof, but the goof is still a goof kodesh because it had the neshama in it. In Mela, mitzadat, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was oisik b'kfurasei. The Eibishter occupied himself in burying this goof kodesh. Mela said of Levi Yitzchak, but it's the same thing. The time when I was doing the mitzvah with them, this is the mitzvah, it's the rotzen of the Eibishter, the rotzen of Atzmoser, so was clothed in them at the time of the mitzvah. And this is goes, say the higher say the shtosh, higher say the shtosh, mamash Atzmoser, so. In a mail, even if now we're not doing the mitzvah, finished doing the mitzvah with it. So you can't say the Ratzna Elyon is Nisgala in this now, but we're not doing a mitzvah now. No, we're not wearing the tefillin. You put the tefillin away, it's not a mitzvah when they're in the bag or talus. Nevertheless, it's like the goof Kodesh, like the goof of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Indian which made it Kodesh, has gone, but it still remains Kodesh, because a kli from the Kedushas. And mainly here also, the chayfetz of the mitzvah, the tefillin, the talis, cholo. This has in itself, this is something which was used for the Ratzon Elder, the Ratzon was connected with Atzmos. So, with the Eibush, the Mamash Mela, he wants to occupy himself in this thing. The Rebbe concludes on this. You see how the attitude that you should have to a mitzvah. It's a different sort of attitude inside, the way he looks at it, the way he looks at the chayfetz, the object with which the mitzvah is done. He sees it in terms of Atzmos Ein Sof, the Ratzon Elyon, and the of Elokus, the Giva Elokus. That is the way he looks at it. That is the way he should look at it. And that is the way he looks at the goof of a yid, even after the neshama is nistalak from the goof. Even so, he looks upon the goof. He sees the goof as a goof kodesh. So, a ma'isa. What is the grace flaw of the ma'isa? Will you find the ma'isa printed anywhere else? I don't think so. Will you find the ma'isa printed in a book of ma'isa of Levi Yitzchak Badisheva? No, I can tell you won't, because I've been through the whole book. There with all the ma'isa, it's not mentioned there. Bechla, because the Welt, you understand the Welt. Wouldn't see that. What's the ma'isa? What are you saying over here? Some hafla, something wondrous. This is the ma'isa, which is teaching us to have an attitude, certain questions of attitude. When you're doing a mitzvah, it's the simple thing. It's not hafla. It's not in your meifus. It's not in yonim which are ma'ila me'avonav ha'soga. It's appreciating what it is in you doing a mitzvah. What this means, and what is the guf vayid doing a mitzvah? Guf vayid, what is this? What is ayid? What does this mean, ayid? What is it? This is something very, very special. And this is something which you don't want to let go of. You have an opportunity to hold this in your hand, to be osik in this. Is the mamela, is man osik. This is what you feel, this is where you are. It's kleptzach. You're attached to this thing. You can't let go. You can't let go. This is the Rebbe says in the Sikh over there. This is the This is a gisha, an approach which Chassidim should have to during a mitzvah. Not done the mitzvah. Ogaton, done it. Missing the point of what a mitzvah is. Chaim, the Eibush should tell that we're running to put on tefillin. You understand? We're running to put on the tefillin, and you can't take them off because you're running to put them on. Understand? Because it's the Ratzon Elyon, versteht. Levi Yitzchak, but you couldn't let go. Even after you took them off his group, you still couldn't let go of it. You understand? Can't let go of it. Stays, yeah, get the message, L'chaim. Maybe she'll help. L'chaim. Help me. Help me.
Yeah, we can.
What? It's all right. I'm not concerned about you. I'm not such an early throne. I should be concerned about it. For myself, you know, all this time as a cult to hate. Hi. What is that?
It's a machinke.
What is the machine doing?
It's the nefetz mayones al kol oil and kol.
Are you looking?
Yeah. Bagashmis. Also bagashmis.
Normally about this time the tables come together.
This time?
About this time. About 3 o'clock normally.
Maybe in 35 you can
Part of the Art Chodesh show is in Gala this year. Part of the Art Chodesh show is in Gala this year.
I'm not going to carry on for bringing this. I know I have a minion.
Mila Shamilai.
A minion, yeah, a minion to go in mikvah, come double shot.
At YC? Here. Like,
Big Mog, you're gonna
yeah. Raise your hand.
All right, end of story.
How did you go to 10?
What?
How did you go to 10? Now did you go to 10 o'clock?
Excuse me, names. All right. What's CPA?
I saw someone showed me a certain story, and probably I shouldn't repeat it, but I think it's, so to speak, it's important in a sense. It's important to perhaps speak about it. This is written in a sefer about a certain, I don't know if I heard it vaguely, I think I've heard his name, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's and someone asked him an Eitzah. He's got a choice. Someone else is slow. He's got a choice of 2 kelim to go to. 2 kelim to slow him, and this is in Kugels for years. You got a choice of 2 kelim to go to. You go to 1 kelim, you pay less, so don't pay so much money. So it's obviously not quite so attractive to go to a kelim which pays less money. So another kelim you can go to, which then that kelim, they pay very, very well. What is the catch? Over here, this place they pay very well. The catch is that the fellow is supporting the fellow, Akvir is supporting the kelim, and he wants that when he comes into the kelim, he's supposed to come into the kelim. You like to talk to him when he comes into the kelim. So he's a big Gewehr. He supports the Kotel. He's going to Haltosh the Kotel. He's going to. When he comes in there, the guys, the heavily supporting, that they should talk to him, should schmooze with him. Right. This is the child. So which Kotel he comes in, he asks by this Odom Godel. He asks by him, which kotel should he go to? Should he go to the kotel which pays less, there are no strings attached? Or should he go to the kotel which pays a lot more, but there's strings attached to that? And the Rav answered him according to this. I believe these. I don't take any of these things seriously. And actually, they have too much to do with it. I'm not saying that. We're just talking theory over here. So Rav answered him, wow, what's the shaila over here? No question at all. You go to the kotel where they pay less. Because what would be, this is the word, what would be if you go to a kotel, they pay you a they pay you a huge amount of money, on condition that you eat treifas or something like that. Would that be a heter to go to the kotel? They tell you to do something wrong? How can that be? The male, here's an Indian, a bittul tailor over here, because the guy will come in. Then you'll speak to him. Is in your bittul tailor. So therefore, you should go to such a kotel where there's a sort of built-in t'nai, a built-in condition of the opposite of limud ha'Torah. Therefore, this is written in this book to bring out the godless of Odom Pliny, to give out his greatness, that he said, no question at all, you go to the kotel where there are no strings attached, even if it means they pay you less, too bad. But that's it. All right, I saw this Maisa. I heard it first. A younger man who was here till a few minutes ago, he hasn't got the notes here, we're quoting the Maisa now. He just went home to go to sleep. But he was here till a few minutes ago. He told me this Maisa. And the mikvah, I told him to bring him to say, I'd like to see this. I'll take a look. State in the book of someone told me. This is the Maisa. I don't care whether the Maisa did take place or didn't take place. But what interests me is more the, so to speak, the hashkafa of the thing. The hashkafa of the thing, I find it objectionable. I find it a bit understandable, at the same time understandable, this idea that someone comes in, a yid comes in, whether he's a guy who's a millionaire and he's paying for you, or he's not a millionaire paying for your paying your wages or not, that's not the point. But a yid comes in and he just wants you to talk to him, and this becomes what, this is the comparison to this is eating treifas, because of bittul tailor. Everything, maybe I'm about to balabatish geworden, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sufficient if I can't know it, but I don't know. But I don't think that when a yid comes in the place where the younger lights are learning Torah, and the taka learning Torah b'shkida v'asmoda without wasting any time, v'cholo, that then they will take up a bit of time to talk to him. I don't see that as, I don't see it being a dover osa bichlal. I see it faket. A person comes in here and he didn't put on tefillin yet. The shaila, whether the bacha should interrupt his learning to go and lay tefillin with him. What's the shaila? I don't get the shaila exactly. I don't understand. We're not going to go and send bachim out in the time of Seder to go and mitzvah tefillin. I mean, there are thousands of yidden, unfortunately, in Melbourne who have to lay tefillin every day. So you can close down the yeshiva and have instead Beis Chabad sending out from Mivtzoyim to go to the late Tefillah with you. And we understand, if you want a yeshiva, obviously, then you have to have Seder Yeshiva. The Seder Yeshiva, the Rebbe said, the Seder Yeshiva is not the Indian Mivtzoyim. Actually, the printed it just recently in the that magazine about Mivtzoyim. No, the Rebbe said clearly, Mivtzoyim is not for the time of Seder. Mivtzoyim is the Chutzah Seder. That's talking there, fine, about an Eifen Kovua. Eifen Kovua in a fixed way. What is the Shaila over here? Eifen Kovua is the time of Seder is for learning, not for anything else. And when Mela, every single person is supposed to be learning, a Bach in Yeshiva, or a younger man in Kelo, being paid for it, whatever it may be, the time of Seder should be spent davka on learning, not on anything else at that time. And a Yid comes in and walks in, and it may be he didn't put on tefillin yet, and a Yid comes in to fix the window or something, or to fix an air conditioner, whatever the Yid comes in for, it's been again. But the Yid comes into your Dalet Amos, maybe he didn't put on tefillin. So go to him and ask him and find out. Maybe he wants to put on tefillin. You're in the middle of a Tosus or a Shver Rambam. Wait, I just do not see it at all. I just do not see it. Not because I'm a big chassid or a big makusha or anything. I'm talking poshet al pinigla, I don't see. I don't see it. This is the matzav is kach. The matzav is that the Yid is here. And the matzav is the Yid needs, every person needs kiruv. I don't want to talk about kiruv or chikim. The Rebbe said, who are you to say he is up and you are qualified? All right, fine, don't call it about kiruv or chikim. But I'll call ponim. The tzugan, the approach has to be one of kiruv. Make a person feel welcome. Make a person feel at home. If there's even if there will be a younger man, a person who's not supporting the whole country, paying your wages. It's not the point, paying your wages, not paying your wages. That's not the point of the club. The point is a Yid comes in, and that Yid should feel comfortable. That's all. I'm in the middle of what? In the middle of a sugya. The Yid should still feel comfortable. I.e., that's a mitzvah sheyef shelasis on yidei acheret. That v'ahavta l'reacha k'meicha. What is Ahavas Yisrael? We're talking about Pascal Pinigla. A Yid feels uncomfortable. A Yid feels awkward. That is not the way it's supposed to be. I want to feel comfortable. Every person on this planet wants to feel comfortable. Doesn't want to feel awkward. If a person feels awkward, then, and you can help, he shouldn't feel so awkward. A smile, a voice, whatever it may be. It's one potato. All right, he won't feel so awkward. The mitzvah Ahavas Yisrael. I don't get bittul Torah, neilas, I just say it because someone showed this to me just recently. This thing, I think it is important that this sort of, I don't want to call it nonsense, but this sort of hashkafa should not krich into these Dalet Amos. Why do I say this? Because the hashkafa does automatically krich. That sort of hashkafa gets in. It's not difficult for that sort of hashkafa, that sort of approach, to arranchichen in the pain and to get into, because you get, I got to learn, I'm busy learning now, so the mailer, I'll all of a sudden become a big masmid all of a sudden. 5 minutes ago, you were talking about don't understand. But all of a sudden, the Yid walked in, so all of a sudden, there's no grace of masmid. Became a big masmid all of a sudden, and now you're looking in the safe all of a sudden. Well, I mean, that's the mitzvah. That's just the fact. That's just the fact. I'll call tonim was benegea is in etzem inya. The etzem inya. talking to a Yid, and it could be the Yid is not a sort of Yid who's particularly interested in hearing about a Pasuk Chumash or a halacha in Rambam. It could be is Marash. I'm not suggesting over here, as I said, an Indian of a bitl of an oif of kvius, Indian of bitl of stone. We're not talking about that bichlal. We're talking over here about an Indian of what? A poshet of Abbas Yisrael. There's a Yid who says he's going to come into the place. When he comes into the place, he's like the guy should talk to him. I would say, yeah, fine. We'll arrange such a thing. There should be, you come in, you drop by, and we'll do a bit of this, have a bit of Dvar B'Teilim, a bit of a Shmuz, learn a bit of Pasuk Chumash Eichet, your stomach will be Ma'aki V'Cholo. The pale, that's what's going to be. The pale, you get close to a person. We make most problems, we make ourselves most problems in Ruchnis are, we're the ones who create those problems. Why? Because you look the other way, you don't know how to handle a person, how to draw a person should be close. Instead of being friendly to a person, instead of being close to a person, and with a kavona b'feirish, as you by Avraham Avinu, where he says b'feirish in my morach chassidus, Avraham had a kavona, the Shem Shomayim, he gave them to eat. Sure, he gave them to eat with a b'feirish kavona that they should then bench the Eibishter. No stira. My Marach, the Rabbeim didn't find any problem in this at all. Avraham Avinu will give these hungry Arabs, or whatever they are, give them plenty to eat in the middle of a mitzvah. And nevertheless, the purpose, the reason why he's giving them to eat is in order that Sof Kol Sof will get them to make a bracha. And then when the Reifa Pa'omim, the overwhelming majority of times, he was matzliach in that. In Mamela, there's the same thing. You have to be a Yid. A person walks into the Zal, you come into contact with the person in a way of hashgacha prot. We're not talking now about looking, going out. Going out to Mitzvah is a different thing. For such an Indian. I'm talking about if it's a machtz. It just happens that you come to, and it happens the whole time. You come into contact with the person. Use the opportunity. That's all right. Don't run away. Don't to run away from it. All of a sudden becoming a masmid. It's the middle of Seder. It doesn't matter. It's all right. Again, we are not talking over here about a bitl and oifen kovua. We're talking when an Indian comes, it's machtz, it happens, it works out in that way. When it works out in that way, is you know how to handle it. The Eibishter sends someone in here. Fine. The Eibishter sends someone in. There's a kavana. You should put tefillin on. You should learn a pasuk chumash with it. It's all right. You take off a few minutes. Doesn't matter. Nothing wrong. It's fine. It's just fine. I'm saying this because there has to be an attitude to other Yid, not to be, sometimes we get very infatuated with our own, with what we're involved in, etc. Don't disturb me, don't look into my Dalet Amos. Whether you're saying it in the Farish or not saying it in the Farish, sort of feeling of the where Kodesh, I'm so holy. You can't even come into my Dalet. Get off your high horse. The Yataka is very good that you're learning. And learning B'Shkida V'Asmod, the Baruch Hashem, learn B'Shkida V'Asmod, and be prepared to close the safe if necessary, or at least cover the safe. I tell you what, I walk around here. I walk around here almost every day closing Sidurim after Mitzvah. Why am I closing Sidurim? Because leave them open. Close a safer. Don't you know this thing? You're not allowed to leave a safer open. I didn't say put it away. That's what you're saying. All right, that's what you're saying. Yeah, all right. They all know that. That's right. Right. All right. It's elephant now. I'm just not. All right. Okay, I hope you put it away. So this is good. Well, I didn't cover a safer. when you leave a sefer, not just to walk away from a sefer without closing it, or at least covering it. I'm walking around the whole time. I find Siddur non-stop after Mincha Shabbos. You got a whole kvias of it. You got close the Siddur. I don't understand that, mate, but be ready. It's all right. Be ready to pick yourself up from the sefer and close the sefer. You'll come back to it afterwards. The Alter Rebbe says, it's interesting, the Alter Rebbe Shechar, the Alter Rebbe says over there, if you have to stop learning for a mitzvah, it can't be done by someone else. All right? You have to stop learning for that. Then the Alter Rebbe said, after that, the Alter Rebbe said, do the mitzvah, v'achar kach yachzor lelemudei. The Alter Rebbe says, beferish. After that, finish doing the mitzvah. Get back. That's right. Finish. That's right. It's all right. It's all right. Don't look in the safe and pretend you didn't notice the guy. That's just not your business. It's all right. Mate, say good morning, whatever it is. It's all right. I don't think there was ever this frenzied so-called hasmoda, so to speak, that holiness, this exclusiveness where you can't come near the guy. He's got a fence around him. Because it's such a say so. I'm only saying this because I saw this in there. It's printed in a sefer, and a person who reads the sefer is getting a message. It sends messages. There are messages out there going around. The message is that plainly said that you should go and talk to somebody at the time somebody comes in. At the time you learn, the guy's paying for your wages to learn. It doesn't matter. But that you should talk to him even. Is spending time. There's bittul Torah, and you shouldn't even go to that kollel before. Loi zu haderech. This is not the way. It may be technically that may be correct. Technically, it's very difficult to prove otherwise. Technically, bittul Torah is also. Technically, it's brought the mice of the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov came into where the Polish has been sitting there, and the Polish learned 18 hours a day. For the last 50 years, he'd be sitting in the shul there, in the cheder, over there in the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said to him, Shalom Aleichem. He didn't answer Bichlal. Oh, you're not allowed to answer. All right. I mean, and that gufa being written in the Maisa of the Rabbeim is a hero. That gufa, you read that Maisa, it's clear. He should have answered. The Baal Shem Tov, he didn't know, there was no Baal Shem Tov there. He came dressed like a peasant. He says, don't know who it is. He comes in, he says to you, Shalom Aleichem, you're in the middle of your learning, and you're very holy because you learn 18 hours a day, and you'll be sitting here the last 50 years doing this. You're very Kodesh. Finally, he says to you, Shalom Aleichem, answer him, Aleichem Shalom. V'ata Kodesh Yoshev Tzilas Yisrael. And the whole mice over there, the Baal Shem Tov told him that this is not the way. Lo zu haderech. This is not the way. We have the same thing going on. You know, the same thing is going on. Not with, because that's such a mice. Someone says Shalom Aleichem, you know, we understand Shalom. But nevertheless, there's a ke'enz there. There's something like this the whole time going on. This Ayid, you come into contact with Ayid. You come into contact with the Yid, and it's easier sometimes just not to get involved. Not to that. You know, something you can't bother. Just I'm busy. This, that. No, everything is bashkacha pratis. Ayid walks into your Dalad Amas. Be it Dalad Amas in here in the Zal, be it Dalad Amas somewhere else. Everything is bashkacha pratis, and this is Avos Yisrael. What is Avos Yisrael? He doesn't need you to give him breakfast. He's not an Oniv Evyon. What is the Avos Yisrael? The Avos Yisrael is make him feel comfortable. That's all. You want to go into a place where no one will even look at you. Everyone will be turning the other way, busy this, the other, etc. There are plenty of such places. No shortage of such places. I can show you half a dozen shuls, not in Melbourne, Melbourne's better. Half a dozen shuls, easily. You walk in there, No one would say Shalom Aleichem to you, Bechlal, no one would say Good Shabbos to you. Nothing at all. Klal of klal. Begappa Yoma, Begappa Yetze. Does it come in, out? You might as well not have been there. Right. Loi zu aderech. This is never by Chassidim was never such a way. It's important. It's important that Bachram learn in yeshiva, and very often the Bachram forgets about this in the Kodesh.